Clash between Port Adelaide and Carlton. Everyone else to Geelong.
If you're not going through an emergency situation right now, it might be the perfect time to explore the all-new ABC Emergency website. ABC Emergency lets you search for incidents near you, or you can check on other locations around the country. There's also a handy button that lets you listen to the local ABC radio station closest to the emergency. abc.net.au/emergency. Save it in your favourites now and keep listening to ABC Radio, your emergency broadcaster.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Round 22 continues from Kilda Park in Geelong on Grandstand AFL. One upset already today. A big win for the Hawks over the Western Bulldogs. The Saints, who were winners in round 21, start a significant underdog up against the Cats here at Kilda Park. A shock loss last Friday night to GWS and a huge chance to lock up a top 2 finish if they can beat St Kilda this afternoon. Corbin Middlemass in commentary alongside Andrew Mays. Maisie, there's no wriggle room, though, for St Kilda. They need to keep winning and hope some other results fall their way.
Absolutely. It's all on the line for them this afternoon. How's your ladder predictor going? I reckon I've done mine 7 times in the last 48 hours.
Yep.
It's excruciatingly hard this time of year, but even more so with all the upsets. So you never know what can happen.
And the worst thing is when I did my tips on Friday, I got through it quite quickly. I thought, all the games are pretty played out. And all of a sudden we're a couple of games in, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people out there still looking for their first winner. Our number 1 pick, sharing over 600 games, Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio. First of all, Beach, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Nice drive down the freeway today. Coming down here to Kilda Park. It's been a long time, a couple of years, I think, since I've ventured in this hood, and only ever played one game of AFL football down here, early days of St Kilda when we weren't going overly well and Geelong was still on the rise, so things have changed a lot, but always enjoy coming to this part of the world.
I know you've never played in a win here because St Kilda haven't won at this venue since 1999. Nathan Burke got top votes that day in the Brownlow medal. It was round 10 of that season. Saints have lost their past 9 at this venue by an average of 52 points, so trying to turn around a bit of history to keep their finals tilt alive. Brett Delidio's here. G'day, Lids.
Hello, Corby. It was an absolute pleasure driving down the highway today. I loved the peace and quiet. Just had the footy on cruise down here, which was nice. But
I noticed you turned down the opportunity to ride with Deej myself. You thought, I'd rather just go with a little bit
Too smart for that, mate. I needed a bit of space, bit of me time. So I have played in a win here. Well, I played a quarter. I actually got injured. It was way back in 2006, I think it was. No, that was a knee, this one. It was the early onset, probably. It's probably the same leg. So we got the job done down here. That was well and truly before, but then we kicked off Geelong's reign almost, the Tigers. 2007, getting smacked by 157 points at Etihad one night, which was the start of many things to come for them, and they've been almost successful every year since then, but probably going to keep it rolling tonight. I would have thought of this afternoon. Saints have to do everything right. I wrote them off last week, though, the Saints, and they
no
proved
chance
me
last week, you said.
I just couldn't make a case for them, no. And coming here today, I'm probably a bit the same, Beach, but happy to be proved wrong. And hopefully we get a cracker of a game, but I think the ins for the Cats today, my boy Big Jerry Cameron back out there, which would be a nice little tune-up for him leading to the finals, which would be nice. And, not sure how they're going to handle him nor the rest of the Cats team out there today, the Saints.
They've lost just 7 of their past 55 at the venue Geelong. They haven't lost back-to-back games here since 2015, but I'm going to take a different sample size. So the back-to-back games on that occasion was round 4 and round 12. But what we're talking about here is in consecutive weeks, so having obviously played in round 21, and if they lost today in round 22, the last time that's happened in consecutive weeks was 2006, and the second leg of it was the memorable comeback by the West Coast Eagles when they were 9 goals down and came back to win by 3. Now, we're going to see a little bit of this across the weekend after, obviously, the events of last week. The players coming together to stand intermingled around the centre circle, the outer edge. A few of the players linking arms. We saw Brandon Parfitt and also Bradley Hill at the coin toss as really a sign or a show of solidarity against racism in the community more broadly, but particularly in the game of Australian rules footy. So both teams, along with the match officials, around the centre circle at the moment, and both teams embrace, and now they disperse to their separate areas of the ground for one last message before we're ready to go for the bounce of the ball as round 22 continues. The other game today is Carlton and Port Adelaide. It'll be run concurrently. We'll keep you updated with that throughout. A couple of big stories as far as the ins and outs are concerned, Lidge. You touched on Jeremy Cameron. Obviously, the injury to Tom Stewart, which has been much discussed throughout the day. So suspected Liz Frank has been reported by Mitch Cleary earlier today. So that could be season over for Tom Stewart. It's a huge blow for the Cats, so he's out of their team today. Yeah, disappointing, isn't it? For a guy, arguably one of their best players this whole year, so consistent. You just love his story about where he's come from and how hard he's had to work to get into the AFL system, but he's been incredible for so many years now, and going to be a big loss for him because he's almost like their general, their number one interceptor, you would say, down there for the Cats, and sets them up. But yeah, to have him out is going to be someone else is going to have to fill that role, and who it is, I'm not sure. You look at guys like Jack Henry, Lockie Henderson down there, Mark Blitzarves as well, that can offer that sort of defensive catch and turn it back around for you. But it's a big loss for the Cats. And Beach Dan Hanbury back for the Saints. So first time since last year's semi-final that we see Hanbury in a St Kilda jumper in the penultimate round. So the Saints must keep winning. While for Geelong, a top 2 spot awaits at the end of the round. On Grandstand AFL, you're with Andrew Mays.
Two very different opportunities for these sides. Selwood tries to get the clearance. Dangerfield picks it up cleanly, though. He bursts out in the middle for the Cats. Kicks towards Cameron, who was nudged in the back underneath the ball. Well done by the Saints' defence. Sinclair gathers. Kicks short to Jones at centre-half back. Gives it to the running Steele by hand, who has a bounce. Doesn't have a hell of a lot of options up forward, so he just has to go long instead. It's over King's head. Slipped through Henry's hand at the back. King picked up. He was dispossessed. Now a chance for O'Connor. Gets under one tackle. Hand pass to Kolajasny. Out the back to Buse, who's under a bit of pressure. That has to be deliberate. Just poked it on his boot, and it is paid deliberate. In the right forward pocket, a chance here early for the Saints.
Oh, it's fair to say that was an absolute brain fade. He could have done a worse job of trying to disguise it whatsoever. So
he was better off walking it out of bounds.
If you're lucky to see that, you're sitting at home, that was an absolute embarrassment of an piece of acting you've ever seen.
Won't be seeing him at the Academy Awards anytime soon, Jed Buse. So it's Butler with the free kick. He's about 30 metres out from goal. He's shaping for the left foot snap in the right forward pocket. And he comes to the field of play. Snaps towards goal. It's going to land short. King gets there late. Taps it back into the field of play. McKenzie onto it now. He taps it, but to the advantage of a couple of Cats. One of those was Buse. Got it from Blitzarves. Kicked long to Dangerfield. And then close in there, he hand passes to Higgins, who gets a hurried kick away.
That's Sean for the Cats down the wing as Howard chops it off, gives it to Sinclair, out wide to Joyce, puts St Kilda down to half forward, so they've had it in their front half early. Membry and Blitzarves. Blitzarves spoils down to Smith, taken away by Cam Guthrie, his own teammate, kicks in the middle of the ground. Jeremy Cameron brings it down. Dalhouse had it, lost it. Dunston's hand pass for the Saints ends up with Crouch, so St Kilda back with it. On the eastern wing, Ross kicks very wide for the Saints. Out to Butler between wing and half forward. Hand pass to the captain, Steele. Tries to evade the tackle from Buse. Hand pass back inboard to Marshall. Pokes his pass into the pocket. Max King out on the lead. Takes the mark. Right forward pocket for the Cats. A similar spot where Butler had a shot moments ago to try and kick the opening score.
I've just watched Kolajasny limp from the ground, favouring that right knee that's been strapped already. Hopefully he's going to be okay, but he's going to be a big out for him, especially in that defensive backline that's already missing Tom Stewart.
And on top of that, Tui and Rowan hurt last week. Here's Max King for the opening score. That's the perfect start for King. Bends it through on the outside of the right boot. A little shaky last time these two teams met. He had 1-5 on that occasion, Max King. A confidence booster to get going with the opener. St Kilda won straight. Geelong yet to score 3 minutes in.
And not only will that hurt their back on, obviously, but it hurt him on that occasion because him limping from the ground, that's where Butler found so much space on that far side. The overlap came and Geelong were just chasing tail from there and in because they were coming forward to try and defend. So Max King just finding it was a good kick in there by Marshall, just putting it to his advantage. Although they allowed that little bit, it was wide in the boundary, but here at Geelong, the pockets are quite shallow, aren't they? So they're a little bit straighter than what they would other be probably at other grounds. So Good start by the Saints. The Cats haven't really looked like it with a couple of their opportunities going forward, and the setup behind the ball from the Saints has been really positive.
Very positive start if you're a St Kilda fan. Stanley in the ruck, the former Saint. Gets it to space. Jones there first, though, for the Saints. He dives on it. Ball spits out the front of that stoppage. Marshall rolls it underneath the couple in an awkward hand pass. Dunstan had to bend down to pick it up. Big collision almost. Going back with a flight. Brave was Meningola. Saints, though, recover quickest. A chance for Steele. Kicks inside 50. Mark taken by Crouch. He's looking to play on. He's 48 from goal. Couple of options short. One was Dunstan, ignores them, and it looks like he's going to have a ping.
Well, I'm not sure he's got this in him, Maisie, from here. I haven't seen him kick it this far before, ever. He probably had a couple of chances either to handball on and switch it across the 50, but...
And he's going to go the pass too. It wasn't too bad. It just landed in front of Butler, who couldn't take the diving mark. Hand pass comes away of Selwood, who kicks towards the wing. Good fist over the top, coming late. Howard back in the lineup this afternoon and smashes it right from centre wing over for a boundary throw in. Hawkins, no chance with that fist coming over his shoulder. 4 minutes played, opening term. It's the Saints by a goal.
Missed last week with hamstring tightness, Dougal Howard. Playing his first game today here at Cardinia Park, the 15th venue he's played at, having already played games in China and Ballarat, and now adds Geelong to the list from the boundary throw-in. Selwood, he's tackled, taken high. Dunstan, the offender, free kick for the Cats. As Selwood gets up, swings his kick across the ground, daring ball, wanted to get it to Buse, can't. Spills to Ross of the Saints, hand pass to Butler, out wide to Crouch, has a fumble, sockers it away from Stanley, but the first one there will be Henderson. Needed a kind bounce, didn't get it, knocks it away to Henry. And the Cats recover the footy off halfback as Zach Guthrie hits up Holmes on the back flank.
Holmes comes wide to Simpson, who has to gather on the bounce, lowers his eye. Kick is a good one, and he finds Cameron on halfway. Cameron has Higgins short. Holmes kept running to half forward. Thought about poking the pass inside. Instead, he threads the needle beautifully to Selwood. Hand pass to Higgins. Now to Holmes. He could have gone back to Higgins by hand. Instead, it was an awkward left foot kick inside 50. No mark taken. Wilkie there for the Saints. Hand pass over the top to Webster. Back to Wilkie. And Wilkie back to Webster, who kept on running. He's got Marshall over the top. Opts against that. Went longer by foot instead. Beyond halfway. Good mark taken by Memory.
Felt for his shoulder as soon as he landed. Heavy landing, but looks to be okay, Memories. He gets up to take his kick, eastern wing. Saints one straight, Geelong yet to score. Heads down to half forward. King able to get rid of O'Connor and takes the mark. So interesting match up there as King goes short to Sharman and skids into mark in front of Zach Guthrie, just inside the boundary line, right half forward for the Saints.
I don't want to say it and go the early crow, but they just look a little bit unsettled back in defence. College Jasny coming off, and obviously the big out of Tom Stewart. So losing a fair bit of experience, and the ball movement from the Saints, I wouldn't say it was elite, but just managed to find an overlap, and Geelong just struggling to get a fingernail in and get a fist and slow up their forward movement.
So Cooper Sharman from wide out at right half forward. His drop punt is perfect. Sails straight through, and the Saints have the opening two. So fast start for St Kilda. 2 straight 12. Geelong yet to hit the board. 7 minutes in at Cardinia Park. Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio.
Well, the small sample size we've seen from this young bloke, he can kick a footy, can't he? He's been pretty reliable in front of goals. Worrying signs that as we just see College Jasny come back onto the ground, so Cats fans, they'll be very pleased to hear that. But the matchup for Big King at the moment, I'm just not sure. You know, last time he kicked 1-5, could have had a massive day, and that ultimately cost him the game essentially. But you know, who is that matchup? They've got Jack Henry on him currently. Athletically, he goes with him, no worries, but he's still giving away at least 10, 15 centimetres almost. So, you know, he's going to be relying on his teammates to really help him out.
You think the obvious choice is Blitzar's based on height and athleticism, but and he's obviously played on key forwards before. And
playing on Kent.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was a All-Australian fullback before, key back. So it's a weird matchup because now Blitzar's is on Kent and Henry's still got the job on King.
Poor first bounce, recalled. Dunstan tries to get the clearance. Hand pass. He's knocked down in the end. Hanbury was pushed off it. Dunstan went back for seconds. Holmes for the Cats. Kicks inside 50. Awkward bouncing ball. Cameron tried to burst through the defence. Held on to for a little long. Tackle lingered. Umpire said play on. Now Higgins tries to emerge from the traffic. He runs straight into traffic himself. Got the hand pass away to Hawkins. His kick smothered. Now a chance in the left forward pocket for Close. He sees it out of bounds. And a ball in next to the left behind post. 8 minutes played opening term. Saints have the opening couple of goals.
Big Hawk completely missed the footy.
I thought it was smothered.
Don't see that too often as Hawkins tries to grab it out of the ruck from the throw-in. Spills down to Wilkie. His hand pass to Hanbury. A little hot. Hanbury just pushed off it. Burns scoops it up for the Saints. Gives it away to Marshall. His hand pass out wide to Steele. Shoots it back over his head. And we'll have a stoppage. Sean Higgins is locked up. So ball up here. Left half forward for Geelong. Saints in their home strip. Geelong in the white shorts. In their traditional jumper as a little kick forward out of the stoppage from the Saints. Falls down to Crouch. He tumbles one over the halfway line. It'll bounce though for Henry. Collects for Geelong. Hand pass away to Isaac Smith. Goes back by hand to Blitzarves and he kicks in defensive 50 for Colin Jasny at centre half back. St Kilda 2 straight. Geelong yet to score 9 minutes in.
He threads a short pass to Henderson, a true centre half back. Tries to get around Membry on the mark. He ran himself into a little bit of trouble. Membry lost his footing. Wasn't able to apply enough pressure, and then he pokes the pass into the centre circles to Henry. Henry goes to Smith, who's forced to kick on his right boot. It's all a bit messy from the Cats at the moment going forward. Turnover ball, intercept mark taken by Steele. Steele at centre half back, looking out wide. He's already had 5 possessions, the captain, so far. This is 6th. Flares it out wide. Mark taken by Burns. Burns chips the ball into the centre square. Back to Steele, who takes the mark.
Ranked last in the league, St Kilda, for scores in the first 10 minutes of all quarters. And yet today, they're the only team to have scored through the opening 10. 2 straight. Geelong yet to hit the board. Long kick down to King. And he towers over them, up and marking. 70 out at half forward for the Saints. So too far from goal. Max King looks into the pocket. Sharman down there. Membry last in the queue. Marks overhead. There were 4 or 5 in front of him. And a relatively simple mark for Tim Membry, who can go back and have a set shot. 25 out, 45-degree angle.
It was a King again on a mismatch on young Guthrie, the younger brother of. So he, again, for some reason, Henry found himself on a smaller opponent. It was obviously a handover, but it was good by Steele to identify that and just put it up in the air for King to just go and get it. And then I'm not sure what happened in that pocket. Just a number of Geelong players going up for the ball and reading it poorly.
So Membry to cash in. He goes back, laces his set shot straight through. First 3 now for St Kilda. Jeez, Geelong a little shaky early in the opening quarter. 11 and a half minutes in. St Kilda with the opening 3 goals. What's been a bizarre couple of rounds. St Kilda 3 straight. Geelong yet to hit the board.
Well, this is stark contrast to the last time I watched them play live, the Cats and the Saints. The Saints just could not. They kicked 0-7 in the first quarter last time. Well, they 3 straight now, which is great accuracy. But you talk about those mismatches, Beej, and the fact that Zach Guthrie gets caught on King. He's got no chance. Not even, I think Blitzarves would be able to outreach him, and he's got, 10, 15 centimetres on him. So they're doing really good work down there in their forward line, getting free and isolating their forwards one-on-one.
Nice toot from the train going past. You can hear that in our effects mics downstairs. A little clearer than normal with no crowd this afternoon. Radicalier with the clearance this time for the Cats. Hawkins roves. Thought about the hand pass. Delayed it a little too long. Holmes was mobbed. Ball spilt free. Webster, hand pass to Howard, who absorbs the Holmes tackle. They pile in on top of him. Ball going nowhere. Stoppage 20 metres out directly in front.
4 goals to 1 in the opening quarter for Geelong last Friday night here. Obviously GWS with an early lead, and they converted that into a victory. From the ball up, Hawkins whacks it close to the boundary line. Holmes keeps it alive for the Cats, gives it to Sean Higgins. His hand pass it up and under to Dangerfield. Tackled, dispossessed by Jones. Hump says play on. Saints been able to push the footy out to half-back. Zach Guthrie had it, lost it. And some scrappy stuff results in a boundary throw-in. 60 out from Geelong's goal.
I just would have thought they would start better too, just intensity-wise. We did their game. When was it? I said it was arguably the best half of football anyone's played was against
Richmond game.
Yeah, Richmond game. we just haven't seen that, particularly after that loss last week, and essentially, what's on the line is cement a top 4 spot.
Dangerfield caught for holding the ball to the Saints. Burst away. Jones, hand pass to Steele, hand pass to Hanbury. Delivery inside 50 is good. And King takes a strong mark in front of Henry. He is dominating the air this afternoon so far.
His hands are sticky, aren't they, Maisie? That was a really good contested mark. Henry right up his backside trying to spoil, but strong mitts. But there's ability for the Saints midfield. It's just to run and carry, draw the opponent, get that extra handball, flick it out wide to Hanbury. He's running power over the years. That's one of his strong suits. So if he can go back and slot this is a great start for the Saints.
Looking for 4 goals, the Saints, in the opening 14 minutes. He's already got 1 this afternoon, King. He comes in from 52, strikes that pretty well. It's hit the post. Oh, just drifted late at the last moment. 1 behind, 3-1-19. The Cats still yet to score after 14 minutes.
3-1 all from set shots. King's kicked 1-1 and the other 2 goals. King kicked it to the player who took the mark and went back to goal. So what a start from Max King as Geelong quickly worked the footy to the outer wing. Pack forms under Radicalier and a ball up eastern wing here at Cardinia Park. Cloudy day, but a beautiful winter's day. 17 degrees. Yellow Sharon tossed up in the air for twilight footy as Radicalier first hands on it down to Hanbury. He's tackled front on and a ball up. Some late drama waking up this morning. Tom Stewart out of the Geelong team. Suspected Liz Frank injury, so his season could be done. Geelong trying to do it without him. They haven't started well. So Dalhouse, hand pass to Dangerfield. Finally gets the clearance. Kicks inside the forward 50. Hand on it from Howard. It'll sit last line of defence for Wilkie of the Saints. High ball to Sinclair, who marks back pocket for St Kilda.
Bought himself a little bit of time. Short pass is good to Hill. Hill to Hanbury by foot, who marks it left half back. Hanbury, good kick to Kent, who takes the mark, just got his fingers underneath it, wants to play on quickly as well, has Ross outside of him, who takes a bounce over halfway. Now the kick to the top of 50, King again in a one-on-one. Could have been pushed, umpire said play on. Blitzarv's there for support for Henry, who dummies once and then kicks a high ball. Radicalier should get a fly at this. Dunstan out the back, nudged him underneath it. Got his fist on the ball. Radicalier with the free kick behind the wing.
The other game, 15 minutes into the opening quarter, Carlton lead Port Adelaide by 6 points. Mark Murphy's 300th. So Carlton 2-1, Port Adelaide 1-1. That game running simultaneously with us here. 16 minutes into the opening term, St Kilda by 19 points. Geelong haven't scored. As the Cats from the free kick go back to Cam Guthrie, then to Henry, and out to Blitzarv, who marks on the back flank. Back to Henry. A bit of ball control for the Cats here, Litz.
They love it, don't they, the Cats? This has always been their style. Slow and pretty predictable.
Number 1 for disposals. Number 1 in effective kicks. And this part of the reason the short kicking game is Henry to Cam Guthrie, then to brother Zach. Zach goes long down the wing. Stanley forced to spoil in the end. Right on halfway as Dunstan goes down in front. Doesn't get the free he wanted. Spills to Dalhouse, to Sean Higgins. Away to Kolajasny by hand to close. He links up with Hawkins. Kicks deep to Dangerfield. 1-on-1 at full forward. Wilkie spoils. Sinclair bangs bodies with Dangerfield. Spills out towards Simpson. Clever work, and Wilkie just soccers it out of the danger area and out of play. 60 metres out from the Cats attacking goal. So the Saints by 19 points, 3-1. Geelong yet to score. What have you liked so far, Beach?
Saints are moving the ball pretty freely, to be honest, offensively. And Geelong, a couple of times they've slowed them up and they've still found a way through. So it's a little bit concerning from Chris Scott, Geelong coaches up there, sitting there saying we're doing a pretty good job slowing them, and then they're exposing us still being able to get through number by doing it differently too. Kick, mark, and then by hands on a separate occasion. So here we go again on the far side, getting the switch, and it looks like they've got an overlap already.
Yeah, Joyce with the switch, although the kick, unfortunately, Butler let himself down there. Not enough penetration. Cats are able to intercept through Blitzarv, who goes short to Simpson. Risky kick into the middle. Dangerfield forced to spoil. Did well to get back on his feet. Dunstan coming the other way, though. Lightning hand pass, dropped by Kent. Coming in late was Menengola. Hand pass out the back to Henderson, to Zach Guthrie, back to Henderson. Now to Menengola, who dummies once, and then hand pass to Henderson, running some support. Henderson to right half forward with his kick, missed all targets. Wilkie Hand pass to Caulfield, then out wider still to Hill, and he can go from right half back.
Bradley Hill can't complete the mark. The pressure from Isaac Smith did well to force it back into dispute. Wilkie mops it up. Hand pass away to Caulfield off the back flank. Outruns the would-be tackle from Selwood. Across the half-back line to Sinclair. Ordinarily a good user. He comes wide to McKenzie. A half-back for the Saints. They're 3-1. Geelong yet to score. McKenzie very short along the boundary line to Dunstan. Just pushes his way around Henderson. Too easy. Hand pass inboard to Crouch. Crouch under the pump. The tackle from Dangerfield. Dispossessed. Menangola collects. He too tackled and threw it. Chucked it up in the air with a single-handed hand pass. The umpire all over it. Great work in the tackle from Marshall.
Sinclair plays on too, took the advantage to Caulfield. Now the switch across half back to Hill. Long kick, now Hill out wider still. Having a slip was Butler. Able to regather though. Chance now to go inside 50. Burns keeps it low. King coming out again. Oh, could have been a free kick. Umpire says play on. It is a throw. And the free kick is going to go the way of the Saints. Again, another set shot inside 50. And this time it'll be Jones.
Did you see that one, Beach?
Free kick?
Yeah, the
Throw.
throw.
Yeah.
I thought King was pretty stiff not to get a little chop of the arms. I can't imagine Menegola had to play on the ball there, but if you're not going to be able to hit that, you've got to hit the body. And he certainly did that. Made him earn it.
If it wasn't a fumble by Cam Guthrie, it looked like Geelong were away then because it was a shallow inside 50.
Jones very close to the man on the mark. Kicks from 40 in the end and doesn't let his teammates down. St Kilda have the opening 4 here, and a concerned Chris Scott looks on in Geelong coach's box. 4-1-25 the Saints. Geelong yet to score after 20 minutes in the opening term.
You're going to assist their ability to move the ball quite freely here from what was one side, get it to the open side. I think it was dropped mark from Hill earlier, but they got a second chance at it and had the overlap on the far side again, which is a little bit concerning. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I'm sure it's coming from the midfield, where it's not spreading out, getting caught ball watching when the ball's in transition for Geelong, and they're not setting up the ground defensively. Maybe it is just a little bit of experience of Tom Stewart being behind them, being able to see everything, just calling them back.
They're going for a bit too much, though, I feel, with some of their kick speeds. They're biting off a bit more than they can shoot.
Geelong are?
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the other side of it too, St Kilda are doing a pretty good job defensively.
Yeah, setting up well. Slowing them down, forcing them to that kick mark. And nothing's really coming of it. They're forced to kick down the line on a number of occasions. Tried to switch, they get held up.
No Tui, no Rowan, no Stewart, and at the moment no score for the Cats. It's 4-1 for St Kilda, and Geelong yet to hit the board as Marshall grabs it out of the ruck, kicks wide out to high half forward. O'Connor helped over the boundary line by Butler, and a throw in 70 out from the Saints goal.
And that's been something we did the game last week. That was a highlight v Sydney. And there was a question we asked, as Rowan Marshall after the game said that there was a heavy focus, heavy review from the week before and for a couple of weeks actually on their team defence, how they need to set up, what they should be doing when the opposition have the ball.
Geelong from the stoppage, Cam Guthrie to Stanley to Menegola. His hurried kick straight to Dunstan from 70 out, puts it to King deep. Henry does well to spoil, down to Henderson, his hand pass. Trying to find Zach Guthrie, it's out of play, forward pocket for the Saints. Max King just threatening to pull this game apart. He's got 1-1 already, set up another 2. St Kilda by 25 points. Geelong haven't scored.
He looks like he could kick 5 or 6 this afternoon, Max King. Exciting times for St Kilda fans. Selwood with the clearance though, deep inside defensive 50. It's coming straight back. Sinclair takes the intercept mark, about 60 from goal. Looking around the perimeter of 50. He just pops it to the hot spot. He'll hope that man flies again. King, he's got it. He was about 4 deep in that pack. Plenty of cats in front of him, and he just floated to the front.
He's just having his way down there at the moment, Beach, isn't he? He's, everything he's touching, just getting a free run at the footy, and once he gets those big mitts around it, really turned the corner, I feel, since that West Coast game where he was clunking everything. Kicked 6 in that game, I think.
Yep.
At 8 contested marks.
He's coming along very, very nicely.
Already 1-1 this afternoon. This for his second, and he threads it as well from the right forward pocket. What a dream first quarter for the Saints. 5-1-31. Geelong yet to score after 23 minutes. What is happening in this round of footy?
What I like about King too, he seems to be putting himself always that kick away from the ball. We've seen previously and early in the year when he has his poor games, he doesn't impact at all, not just only on the stat sheet, but just aerially, just making a contest. He seems to put himself maybe that kick and a half away, sometimes even 2 kicks where he's just out of play. Where there, he's within a kick of that initial stoppage. The ball was, I think there was a second, third phase of it, but the kick came in from Dunstan and he was there that 1 kick away. And just one thing Henry's making a mistake of, you kind of alluded to, Liz, it's just allowing him to run and jump at the footy. That's his biggest attribute.
Yeah.
So as a young defender, I love what Henry's doing and being able to do in his progress as a player, but he's that lack of experience, knowing who you're playing on, knowing your strengths, and just taking away that aerial strength of Max King when he does have a run and jump at the ball.
Saints by 31. Dangerfield gets the clearance, or hand pass to Selwood, who kicks it forward, turns it over, and Wilkie takes the intercept mark in front of Jeremy Cameron. He's going to have to come back over the mark and do it again.
Why? He's not having a shot for goal, so what does it matter?
I have no idea. Umpire Nichols wasn't happy with that, so he goes back and across. Gives the Cats a little extra time to set up behind the footy. And then rattled so far, and finds Dougal Howard, who marks back pocket, spears the kick to Steele, back flank. A links up by hand with Bradley Hill. Short option wasn't a good one. Trying to feed Hanbury, and Dangerfield trying to get himself involved, punches it 20 rows back.
Socks down today, Danger.
Well, we started up. As I was going to say it to you, I prefer socks down. He's getting serious, I reckon. We're down 5 goals to nothing, so serious dangers out there.
31 points, the margin in favour of the Saints. Toss back into play. Dangerfield at the front of stoppage, all on his own. He kicks inside 50. Radicalia, good spoil at the last moment from behind. Big tackle as well. Didn't allow Dangerfield to go further inside 50. Hawkins knocks it back between his legs to keep it in, but it's all Saints out the back. Crouch receives the hand pass from Steele. Then a good pass to Sharman, who almost could have been paid the mark. And by said play on, Selwood by hand back to Cam Guthrie, and he goes back to the wing by hand to Henry, who kicks to Colin Jasny, called to play on, just got his hand pass away to Zach Guthrie out the back. He can go to left half forward. Menengola with the fly. He was a little early, and he's actually going to win the free kick here for a Shepherd. Left half forward.
It's a fortunate call. Dan McKenzie wasn't happy with it. Hands the footy back to Menengola. 26 travelled opening term. St Kilda 31, Geelong zip. Have not hit the board. Kicks inside the forward 50. Stanley against his old mob, floating through the pack, takes a one-hander. And now the Cats can hit the board. He'll shoot from 15 metres out, just right of centre.
It was the least likely of taking that mark when the ball was coming in. I saw Dangerfield and your mate Jerry. Do you call him Jerry? Jerry Cameron coming from the goal square. Those two collided, and Reece Stanley, I guess, was the recipient of a collision from two of his teammates. But the first time they've kind of looked half dangerous going inside 50. They've always been under pressure.
Stanley moves in, and after coming out cold, Geelong have their first of the game. It's their opening score after 27 minutes. Geelong 1 straight, St Kilda 5-1-31, the Saints by 25 points.
Yeah, it was fortuitous, probably free kick. You see Menengola try and take a bit of a hang. McKenzie just trying to stand his ground there and just hold his position, really. I'm not sure whether that was a shepherding free. It's probably, what would the umpire call that? Is that because he didn't put his hands on it?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I think if he ends up touching it in the actual marking contest, he'll be fine. But the fact is he didn't go really anywhere near the ball.
But it was from a turnover, and there was a kick from Zach Guthrie to a 1v1, in a turnover zone just outside 50. So fortuitous, and that gave them their first real look at inside 50, didn't it? Which allowed Stanley float in from the offside and take that contested mark and pop it through. To say they needed it, it's an understatement.
Margin back to 25 points here at Cardinia Park. Good bounce in the middle this time. Stanley out the back to Selwood. Has an option out wider. It's Menengola on the wing. Hand pass to the running Dangerfield. He gets to 60. Pops it to the top of the square. Cameron marks on his chest. Ball fell short. And Cameron took an easy, uncontested mark in the end.
That defensive spread from the Saints mids were really poor then. Geelong had a number of options. Dangerfield started in the centre circle.
Pretty dangerous player.
Yeah, pretty dangerous player. Just spreads with the ball, shifts with it. St Kilda players are caught ball watching it as Dunstan was his direct opponent, and then kicks an absolute wounded duck.
Cameron, 50. His kick is low and spears it through for 2 in a row. And the Cats getting some respectability back on the scoreboard after a very slow start this afternoon. 2 straight 12. St Kilda 5-1-31. We've played 28 minutes.
Well, that was our question marks earlier in the year, wasn't it, Beejam, were doing the Saints games? Jack Steele just got caught going towards to put pressure on to Selwood, has the overlap, but no one was covering Jack Steele, either coming off the back of the square to put immediate pressure on.
And who was the wingman? The wingman gets sucked right into the contest because...
It must have been flying in.
Lids, one for you. Max King.
Yep.
St Kilda are 5-1. He's had 5 score involvements. I know modern rotations and they've got to come off at certain times. Why is he off the ground?
Yeah.
The last
Callers love this one.
The last 3.5 minutes of the quarter.
Well, he's going down the race
He's
now.
going down the race now.
Potentially something amiss.
Because he may have...
His hands are sore, I think. I think his hands are too sore. He's taking
It's
his
not only
marks.
that, but the guys that run off after goals, because you've been told that at the first opportunity you get to come off, don't come off when the ball's in motion. There's no stoppages near the benches. The first opportunity you get from a slow play and the ball's held up, come off. So he could have been scheduled to come off 4 minutes earlier, which maybe he did, and now he's injured. So he's out there for too long and hurt himself.
He's been threatening to pull the game apart with a hot start. Max King down the race, so we'll keep you updated on that. Free kick back edge of the square for St Kilda. They're going to get another one as Steele goes along to Marshall on the wing, and he had his jumper tucked. So Rowan Marshall to put St Kilda inside the forward 50. Saints by 19. Long kick in the Sharman direction. Gee, Henry spoiled it away from Henderson, his own teammate, down to Guthrie. He's taken high. The initial tackle from Dean Kemp, so free kick for Zach Guthrie. Centre half back for the Cats. St Kilda 5-1, Geelong 2 straight. The Cats have kicked the last 2, so a bit of late momentum. Half hour mark, quarter 1.
11th game of the season for Zach Guthrie. Kicks towards the wing. Cameron, good fly and strong mark. Pack of about 6. Floated in from the side. And that is the end of a very entertaining opening quarter here on Grandstand AFL. That first quarter running 30 minutes and 4 seconds. St Kilda 5-1-31, leading Geelong 2 straight 12. The goal kickers, King has 2 for the Saints, Sharman, Memory and Jones with 1 apiece. And the 2 goal kickers for the Cats, Stanley and Cameron with 1 each.
They came in without Tom Stewart. Zach Tui also missing from the back line for Geelong. Gary Rowan injured. They didn't quite look like themselves, the Cats, conceding the first 5 goals of the game. And as Maisie mentioned, just settling with the last couple to bring it back to 19 points. Jake Kolajasny had a lower leg injury earlier in the quarter. He has returned to the action, though. Meanwhile, for St Kilda, Max King just popping down the race moments ago after a hot start. Involved in 5 of the first 6 scores. And interesting here, Geelong just coming together as a playing group before the coaches have got to them, and it looks like Mark Blitzarves who's doing a lot of the talking, and now Joel Selwood taking over. So Geelong as a playing group, one of the more experienced, or the most experienced team in the league. They've been the oldest side in just about every round this year. They've got 8 30-year-olds out there again today. Just having to chat before the coach gets to them. He won't be far away, Chris Scott. It's quarter time here at Cardinia Park, a 19-point lead for the Saints. On ABC Radio, ABC Sport, Digital and News Radio, this is Grandstand AFL.
Conversations.
And what did your dad think of him?
Wrong religion, wrong this, wrong that.
Spend an hour in the life of someone else.
So he disowned me, didn't want to talk to me.
Someone who has seen and done remarkable things.
I rang him every day for 3 years and he wouldn't say a word. He'd just listen and I'd tell him everything that happened in the day. And then when he'd heard enough, he'd put the phone down.
Hear the latest conversations. Weekday mornings from 11 on ABC Radio. And follow on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Hand pass to the captain, Steele. Tries to evade the tackle from Hughes. Hand pass back inboard to Marshall. Pokes his pass into the pocket. Max King out on the lead. Here's Max King for the opening score. That's the perfect start for King. Bends it through on the outside of the right boot. So Cooper Sharman from wide out at right half forward. His drop punt is perfect. Sails straight through and the Saints have the opening 2. So too far from goal. Max King looks into the pocket. Sharman down there. Membry last in the queue. Marks overhead. There were 4 or 5 in front of him. So Membry to cash in. He goes back, laces his set shot straight through.
Jones very close to the man on the mark. Kicks from 40 in the end and doesn't let his teammates down. Sinclair takes the intercept mark. About 60 from goal. He just pops it to the hot spot. He'll hope that man flies again. King, he's got it. This for his second, and he threads it as well from the right forward pocket. What a dream first quarter for the Saints.
Kicks inside the forward 50. Stanley, against his old mob, floating through the pack, takes a one-hander. Stanley moves in, and after coming out cold, Geelong have their first of the game.
Menegola on the wing, hand pass to the running Dangerfield. He gets to 60, pops it to the top of the square. Cameron marks on his chest. Cameron, his kick is low and spears it through for 2 in a row.
Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds here of the opening term. St Kilda, who haven't won at this venue since 1999. 19 points in front at quarter time, 5 goals to 2 over the Cats. It's quarter time at the Adelaide Oval as well. It's the Blues by 4 points. And they lead Port Adelaide there. So Carlton 2-6, Port Adelaide 2-2 earlier today. An upset at York Park in Launceston. Hawks by 27 over the Western Bulldogs. On Grandstand AFL, Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio.
Yeah, well, Lids, it was all about the Saints, wasn't it? It was really sound what they were doing, defensively, offensively. From a positive point of view, quick when they did get the ball through, but on the Cat side of things, it was, I don't know, the intensity, it was kind of like they get kind of relaxed and lazy when they were out of the initial defensive area, because a number of times they actually looked like holding St Kilda up and did a really good job to slow them down, and then Saints would find a way through, and you look off the ball a little bit on the switch, and that 50, 60 metres off the ball, and couple of Geelong players were just kind of guarding grass, the old cliche in football, but pretending like they're defending. But Saints are doing a really good job defensively again, really sound. Geelong are struggling to find the ball. They've gone to that kick mark, happy to maintain possession, but not getting anything from it. If anything, just racking up a few stats in the back half, not really gaining any ground. So Saints looking really, really solid.
I think that's a big role that Tom Stewart would play in organising the Cats' defence. You look, the Cats have only had 2 shots from their 10 inside 50s, whereas the Saints have gone inside 11 times and had 7 shots. And some of that has just been, they've looked unorganised, haven't they? The mismatches down there. We've seen how hot King has been so far. I do a lot of interviews with young blokes, and I always ask them, thinking that I'm going to get a response of, I'm a Tigers supporter, I'd love to have an interview with you, Liz. I feel pump my own tyres a little bit. Not many Saints supporters that have come through. There's one young bloke, chance for next year's draft, I reckon he might be a little sniff. He'd be very happy with his start. 5 goals, 31.
What's his name? Shout him out.
Blake Drury's his name, young bloke who's down at Caulfield Grammar. Real chance for...
Good luck, Blake.
One of your boys, Beach.
I love how you don't put yourself in the category of a Caulfield grammarian.
3 days doesn't really matter. 4 days, and I might have snuck myself in there. But no, I'm a Kyabram Secondary School collegian.
Really separating yourself from Caulfield.
No, I'm very proud to have worn the uniform for a couple of days. Sweated it up there early summer, which was part of the reason why I didn't keep coming back.
19-point lead for the Saints. The bad news is Max King wasn't at the huddle at quarter time. We saw him disappear down the race just moments before quarter time, and he's not on the ground and hasn't returned to the bench. So we're not quite sure what the injury is at the moment. But
was it last week? Was a groin complaint?
Yeah, adductor was what he was listed as during the week. So he was subbed out of that game against Sydney late in the piece. He's torn apart the opening quarter here, and yet we haven't seen him for the last few minutes or so. Second term underway. Saints by 19. Steele with the clearance. Cam Guthrie chops it off away to Menegola. Hand pass in the middle, back to Steele. His handball a turnover. Geelong back onto it. Henderson to Cam Guthrie, away to Hawkins. Looks for the skipper. Selwood slips over. Smith mops it up. And Smith can come out to the broadcast wing. Henderson marking in front of Jones for the Cats.
Henderson. Dalhouse short. Instead, he pumps it inside 50. Cameron stuck behind a couple there, and Howard chimes in to take the mark. Easy defensive mark for Saints' key defender.
See Tomahawks frown from here. He wasn't pleased with that entry.
Howard looking for Sharman over the top. Good rise, and it's stuck as well on the way down. That's the confidence booster. Chip over the top, not so good. Hung in the air. Henderson got a hand to it. Well done by McKenzie to recover, and well done by Sharman to provide a bit of support. Hand pass was a little dodgy. Got there on the bounce to Jones, who went to Butler by hand. Butler in towards Jack Higgins, who takes the mark, top of 50. Doesn't quite have the journey in him, so he goes short to Jones, who kept on running. Just floated into the right forward pocket. No one within 10 metres, takes the easiest of marks.
It's another occasion where they look...
He goes again quickly, Jones. Oh, it was a little bit risky. Not enough separation there between Membry and his opponent. Fist came in. Cats have the numbers at the spillage too. Menengola just hacks it out of there. Howard rises, didn't come down with it. Close, was tackled by Steele. Ball spilt to McKenzie. He's wrapped up by Close. And there'll be a ball up inside the centre square. Bit of a wasted opportunity for the Saints.
It was another occasion where Geelong looked really sound. They were going to slow St Kilda down. They just managed to find a way through and have a really dangerous inside 50.
Stanley wins the hit out. Dangerfield eventually at centre half bang. Hand pass to Henry. Away to Menengola. In the defensive 50 goes wide and Simpson takes the sprawling mark.
Socks up for Dangerfield. Second term.
Socks up for this man too. Sam Simpson, bit of a throwback look. The jumper tucked in as he kicks down the boundary line trying to find Collar Jasny and punched away by Steele out of play. So a throw in Eastern wing here at Cadinia Park. Floodlights on.
You were a socks up man, Beach, weren't you? Early
days, yeah. Old school theory.
Not for me. Legs were too skinny.
Saints by 19 points, early stages, second term.
Toss back into play. Buse reads it well. Gets through a couple of Saints. And then the short kick didn't really do Cameron many favours. Spoiled away from him by Wilkie. Simpson's in there now on the wing. He slides to ground. Dangerfield was cleanest of all. Left-hand handball was a good one to Cam Guthrie, who kicks to half forward. Hawkins takes a good mark on his chest. Out strongly. He can swing around onto his right boot. Instead goes the hand pass to Cam Guthrie, who kept on running past. Kicks inside. Radigalia caught 3 deep. Went the big fly over the top. No mark. Dalhouse, hand pass to Cameron off the right boot to the goal line. Was it marked? I'm not sure. So the ball fell a little short and Menengola running back with the flight has taken the chest mark. It's just a matter of whether it's a behind or whether he took it inside the field of play. What are your initial thoughts, gents?
Mark, for mine, I thought he got it well and truly.
Goal umpire's right there too, so...
There's a pole in front of him.
Yeah, so to suggest... It's obviously close, but I think
if it hasn't bobbled, then that's a clean mark, isn't it?
I was going to say he thinks it's a mark. We don't know what the umpire's...
Hasn't bobbled at all from the replays we're seeing.
The boundary umpire's probably actually got a better view.
Looking at these angles, we can see the ball's controlled, the ball crossing the back of the goal. Decision on score.
No score.
No score. Mark on the behind line, and Menengola will have a chance to snap the first of this second term. So Menengola, right forward pocket. Matthew Nichols blows his whistle, puts Brad Hill on the mark on the behind line, and Menengola receives the ball from the umpire. He's standing next to the right behind post. He's going to have to snap it with his left. He runs into the field of play, snaps and nails it. And he was very happy with it too, trying to get his teammates up and about. First of the second term for the Cats. They have 3. The margin back to 13 points in favour of the Saints.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever in doubt. He's got a pretty good left foot. Say handy left foot.
Yeah,
so pretty good.
One thing was for sure, he's going to kick the absolute crapper out of it. He loves booting it, Sam Menengola. Does he? He does not lay back ever, I don't reckon. I haven't seen him kick short.
Yeah, that's true. As long as his teammates know that, which I'm pretty sure they do.
They do, yeah.
Do you ever have teammates like that?
Yeah. There's some you just didn't even bother.
Yeah. Yep. Manny Maguire was one. Don't even bother leading, or you know he's not going to lower his eyes. The Goose.
Yeah.
Goose just have...
Another one who I played with just recently, who I thought would be an elite little short kick, Josh Kelly, loves to go long. Just loves launching
it. Chimneys?
Yeah, not so much up chimneys, but just love kicking long balls.
As we see, Max King, he's out on the ground doing a test, the old side-to-side, so he suggests it's that adductor or groin.
Blitz halves doing the ruck work for the time being. Geelong with the last 3 in the game, either side of quarter time. Saints lead cut to 13 after leading by 51 earlier. We're going nowhere in a hurry in the middle, and we're going to have another ball up as Hanbury's tackled straight away. First game back for Dan Hanbury since last year's semi-final loss. So first start of the year for Hanbury in the penultimate round. As the clearing kick inside the forward 50. Stanley falls down the way of Geelong, picked up by Jeremy Cameron. Runs the wrong way, turns, kicks to half forward. Simpson gets rid of Howard. There's a free kick. It's going Simpson's way. He was taken high in the middle of all of that by Dara Joyce. And Sam Simpson points at the sticks and now puts a footy on the ground. Certainly giving off the impression he's going to have a ping.
This is the grey area one, isn't it?
He's played one game this year. That was against Richmond back in round 8. Did his hammy. Of course, he was concussed in dramatic fashion in last year's grand final. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Dangerfield had a hand on it. Spills down St Kilda's way. Steele, hand pass off to Ross. Kicks from the back pocket.
Not a bad kick too. It'll find Membry. 55 out from his defensive goal. Turns quickly. Not such a great kick. It hung in the air. Henderson got a fist to it. Now Buse gets around one. Saint was going to go inside 50 short on that occasion. Smothered by Sinclair. He picked it up immediately and got it moving by foot. Kick found Higgins. Now a chance for Jones. Jones heard the voice, but the hand pass was about 3 metres behind the running Higgins, who had to go back and fetch it. Mopped up. His kick towards Sharman, punched away from him. Saints have numbers in the middle, though. It's now Sinclair on the end of the Ross hand pass. Great kick inside 50. And the mark taken, or it's dropped, in fact, by Membry. He swings around and snaps it behind. It's just bounced over the line and back into the field of play. That's a wasted opportunity. He had 10 metres on his opponent.
So talk about butchering it. That was a great kick.
14 points of margin in favour of the Saints.
And 3 teammates around him, though, when he had that extra snap. So he's cost him a couple of times there.
It was the only option Sinclair had, because there was an outnumber on this open side. Geelong had a +1, so it was a great kick across his body.
Smith from the back flank, kicks down the wing. Marshall had it. Hand pass back into dispute. Dangerfield into his back. Hanbury falling over the top, so free kick for Dangerfield on the wing. Max King, suspected groin complaint. So Dangerfield just goes short to Sean Higgins. The mark wasn't paid, not 15. So all of a sudden Geelong under pressure. Back to Dangerfield. Away to Izzy Smith. The 1-2 with Cam Guthrie. Floats a spiral down to half forward. And Howard spoils out of play. So a throw in, 45 out from the Cats goal. And we have seen King warming up, which is good news. And now he's standing right on the interchange gates about to come on. He was involved in 5 of their first 6 scores. St Kilda led 5-1 to nothing when he went off. Geelong have kicked 3 goals since to close the margin to 14 points the Saints' way.
Marshall to Steele to Crouch, who kicks end over end ball up towards the wing. Sharman kept it in front of himself. Higgins at ground level. A hand pass to Smith, who's taken. Now Higgins surely wrapped his opponent Kent there a little high. Or in fact, it was Jack Higgins. And it is a free kick. Abuse.
Yeah, he gave him a little earful to say that was high.
Sean Higgins with the free kick. He's almost caught from behind by Butler. He shoved him in the back. It'll be a free kick in between wing and half forward.
I might just be slow to this party, but maybe with Dean Muggetts retiring and Razor Ray now over 350 games, has Matthew Nichols just maybe got a little bit of bit of flair about him? Maybe just thinking, look, this could be the profile post I've been looking for.
Filling a void.
He's been involved today. He's been a real interventionist.
Short kick to O'Connor out wide, and O'Connor to about 70 out, where Smith takes the mark. He can enter 50. It's a packed 50 ahead of him, though. He goes short. And Sean Higgins takes another mark in this chain. He's still 60 from goal. And he goes all the way back to the centre circles. Henry takes the mark. Henry looking for the direct route. He goes straight up the pipe. Long kick, close. Takes a great mark. Very sticky hands. Webster was riding him and actually looked like the kick was going to favour Webster. He tried to get a fist in there and Close dragged it in.
Close has surprised himself with that one as well.
But Jimmy Webster's he's pretty sound as a defender. I've played against him a few times and does very, very well to get a fist in there. It was a great contested mark there from Close. It was a slow build-up from the Cats, wasn't it? They went right around the arc and then back again. And
Jimmy was all over him like a cheap suit.
And he comes Close from 40 out. He kicks that pretty well. He loved it off the boot. Never looked like missing. And the Cats are right back in this. 5 goals to 2 in the opening quarter. And the Cats have kicked the only 2 of the second quarter. The margin is back to just 8 points in favour of the Saints.
There's been a response from Geelong too, though, hasn't there? A lot more intense around the footy. That discussion, I think, led by Blitzarves and Joel Selwood, 2 of the most experienced players. I think really hit a chord with them. They come out, say, a different team, but there's definitely a more focus on intensity and effort around the ball, that initial contest, stoppages, and then from there they're setting themselves up, and St Kilda are just really struggling to deal with that little bit of extra pressure. They haven't seen much of it, have they? But they're set up, they're better around the ball, they're defensively sound behind the ball now. When we look up, you obviously can't see it if you're listening, but they've generally got a +1 behind the ball, so any of the St Kilda's forward ball movements kind of being held up.
Margin back to 8 points. Geelong with the last 4, either side of quarter time. Steele dragged off his kick in the middle, dispossessed and was dumped after getting rid of it. So free kick for the Saints. In the middle of the ground, Radaglia, after the whistle had blown, kicked it deep inside 50. Saints wanted 50, they won't get it.
It's 50 every day of the week, isn't it?
That is, and he looked
He
behind.
actually looked, yeah.
Now, mind you, it's a bit... They've called this way, so he's turned around and sent the umpire with his hand up facing towards Geelong's goals, which means it's actually St Kilda's free kick. But
Steele to take the free from inside the centre circles, kicks to centre half forward. Kent gets a run at it. Radagalia's back there and spoils. Still at centre half forward for the Saints. Crouch, handball got to Jack Higgins eventually. Away to Steele. He gives it to Webster. Short kick back to Jack Higgins. Kicks into the pocket. Kind bounce for Butler. Runs out, meets it front on. Hands it to Sinclair. 60 out left half forward. Kicks inside the forward 50. Great placement. Pinpoint drop punch straight on the chest of Jack Higgins. And he'll have a set shot 20 metres out, 45-degree angle.
I wasn't sure.
Oh, Higgins wasting no time. He's going to snap across the body, and Higgins puts it through for St Kilda. Didn't have a touch at all in the opening term, Jack Higgins. And boy, he's been involved in this quarter. His 5th possession already, his first goal of the day. And St Kilda, just to stop a bit of momentum the Cats were building, they moved to 6-2-38. Geelong 4 straight 24. It's a 14-point lead for St Kilda. 13 played in the second term. And before Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio in Adelaide, 11 minutes into the second quarter, Carlton by 16 over Port Adelaide. Ooh. The Blues 4-7-31, Port Adelaide 2-3-15.
I wasn't sure about Jack Higgins' decision at the top of 50 there to kick it into the pocket, but Dan Butler got on his bike, got it, fed it out to Sinclair, and then he just dropped it in a nice little bucket, didn't he?
Another great kick.
Yeah. Just
the old flying doormat. Looks like a mudguard off the...
It looks like a Porter from Full Frontal back in the day.
He ran off there after he kicked that pretty happy. He had a bit of a head wobble and this doormat's flapping around behind him.
Radaglia wins it down. O'Connor in there. Socket away from him. Goes the Saints' way. Zach Guthrie was leading the race. He socketed up to the wing. Hanbury able to gather. Hand pass to Dunstan. Hand pass to Hill, who spotted Ross out the corner of his eye. Left half forward. Ross, the delivery inside 50 is good. Higgins almost dragged in the one-hander. Then they jump on him. Ball spills out the back. Kent looking for a hand pass. Going past. It's Membry to make amends. He delivers. And the Saints have steadied with his second. 7-2-44, margin back to 20. Geelong 4 straight 24.
It's just good footy, really, wasn't it? From the centre square bounce, got it inside 50. Higgins nearly taking a mark and then just to get numbers to the contest, and it looked like it was going to be held up and a ball up, but came out the back. Kent, there was a number of guys there. Memory,
just outnumbered well, didn't they?
Yeah, numbers to the contest. I'll pause that frame and see how many numbers
on the screen.
And they had the outnumber. Even Ross was lining up for the handball from Kent as well. But really good follow up again. And another guy, Memory, being arguably a second, third tall, but his athletic ability allows him to get involved when the ball hits the ground level.
There's a stat which is used a lot in basketball called the plus-minus, which essentially is to do with when a player is on the court compared to when they're off, what the team score is, so how much the team's in front and behind. Max King's plus-minus, not saying he's been involved in everything so far, but he's about 7 goals to zip in the game, or 7 goals to 1 as he's back on and wasn't involved in the last 2, but St Kilda taking over again, so 20 points up here midway through the second term as the underdogs continue to have one hell of a weekend in round 22. A win for Hawthorn earlier today by 27 over the Dogs. The Giants winners last night. And midway through the second quarter, we've got St Kilda leading Geelong, and in Adelaide it's Carlton over Port Adelaide as Dunstan goes long inside 50 and Henry takes the intercept mark in the back pocket. Steps around Jack Higgins on the mark. Long kick back down that eastern wing. Moving his way to the front. Howard spills the mark. Down underneath Dunstan, who's locked up straight away by Dangerfield, and will have a ball up on the eastern wing. Just forward of the logo, the Saints kicking to the Barwon River end in this second term. Now 16 minutes old, it's the Saints by 20.
Tossed up, Selwood had to become the tackler in the end. Then Holmes is there to tackle Joyce, so this is going nowhere. The Cats do well in the end to keep it in tight. Saints were trying to burst away from that stoppage, just forward of centre wing. 5-2 in the opening term has set this one up so far for the Saints. Crouch, hand pass over the top. Dunstan spilt it. Menengola, his hand pass was knocked down. Dangerfield, no fuss, just kicks a barrel up towards the 50. But it favoured Howard going back with the flight. He takes a good defensive mark. To Mackenzie by foot. Mackenzie pulls his kick, goes to hand pass in the end to Sinclair, who made his decision pretty quickly to go to Hannonbury, who didn't take the mark at ground level though, recovered, might have caught one in the back, he did. Zach Guthrie diving in over the top, and Hannonbury receives the free kick.
Oh, Hannonbury, great kick. Threads it through traffic, finds Steele, who takes the mark forward of the wing. Loops a sweeping hand pass to Membry at high half forward. Hand pass to Sharman, goes off his left, overcooked the kick. Kept the target, Menengola at the back takes the intercept mark. He goes short to Dangerfield, back pocket, comes out further wide, and Sean Higgins diving to ground, just gets there, still in the back pocket for Geelong. He goes back to Henry, top of the defensive goal square. St Kilda by 20 points, 18 played second term. Henry short, back to Menengola. In the possession game in the defensive 50 for the Cats, St Kilda well set up.
Again, they tried to get the switch, get the open side. It was off a quick entry, so generally teams can get out pretty easily, but St Kilda making really good decisions off the ball. Midfielders finding their direct opponent, stopping the switch.
Holmes hand pass to Higgins across half back. It was a big contest to win, and Jones over the back in fringe, chopping at the arms there. Against him on Henderson, who takes the free kick for the Cats. Henderson short to Buse. Buse on centre wing. Has Blitzarves over the top. Ignores him. Now he has Smith presenting, who points to Blitzarves. And he's undecided, so he goes back to centre half back. Henry takes the mark on his chest. Pokes the pass forward to Cam Guthrie. Cam Guthrie was trying to milk the 50 there. Trying to get Brad Crouch to move on the mark. It didn't happen. His short pass was fisted away by Hill. Back to Cam Guthrie. Has to go by hand now to Selwood. Selwood dinks the pass in. It's okay to the centre square to find Zach Guthrie.
Now he switches out to the wing. Jeremy Cameron competes in the air with Membry. Spills inside the centre square. Henderson mops it up. Hand pass to Buse. Still with Geelong. Around one, around a second. Hands it to O'Connor. A little casual. Got it away eventually to Menengola. Advantage applied as O'Connor was tackled after disposing of the footy. He comes wide to Sean Higgins. Marks in front of the interchange. Saints by 20. Short kick to Jeremy Cameron. Hits up and meets it between wing and half forward. The top four teams all stumbling so far. The Western Bulldogs losing down in Tasmania by 27. And Geelong and Port Adelaide both behind midway through the second term. A kick inside the forward 50. Hawkins the target. Can't mark and then tackles Howard when he didn't have the footy. So Dougal Howard back pocket to take it for the Saints. St Kilda by 20, approaching time on second term.
Jack Steele already with 21 possessions this afternoon, leads the way for the Saints. Howard, long kick. Membry will fly in front though, standing his ground. Cameron took a good mark. Now Cameron wants to go quickly initially, but sees his options dry up as the Saints are able to get plenty of numbers back, so he's forced to chip short to Zach Guthrie, who takes the mark, still 65 out from goal. Looking inside, he's just going to poke it into the pocket. Flyers come, Marshall's one of them, didn't take the mark on the way down. Caulfield is tackled and wrapped up, going nowhere. A stoppage inside 50 for the Cats.
2 goals each in the quarter. St Kilda kicked the first 5 of the game, led by 31 points. The margin currently 20 from the ball up. Dalhouse, slick hands away to Smith, gives it to Dangerfield, takes on the tackler. Hand pass to Sean Higgins, goes back to Zach Guthrie, spears it into the pocket, one of Dalhouse. And off the hand of Mackenzie, it slips out of play. Forward pocket for Geelong. In Adelaide, similar stage there, approaching time on second quarter. Carlton by 16 points over Port, so the Blues 5-8. Port Adelaide 3-4. From the throw in here, Marshall and Dangerfield. Neither ruck got a heap on it. Spills to Howard. Hand pass to Dunstan. Kicks hurriedly out to half back for the Saints. Too hurriedly. Put it out on the full. And Geelong will get the kick through Menengola. He's got it about 70 out right half forward to put Geelong back into a crowded forward 50.
He goes short. Holmes takes the mark. 60 from goal.
Menengola's first short kick I've seen.
Yes. Holmes, that's a great kick to Henderson, who's floated inside 50. just in between a couple of Saints defenders, and he marks 45 out directly in front.
It was just Hanbury on this off-ball side. I was just too worried about the mismatch on Hill on Jeremy Cameron, so he's trying to provide support for his teammate in Hill. If the ball did get kicked in long, it just gave up that little bit of space, which he's 45 metres out, but if he's standing, arguably 5 metres just in front of Jeremy Cameron, protecting that more dangerous space, he can get across there and spoil that. I don't think the kick initially goes there because the space isn't there for Henderson to run into.
Henderson from 51 lays into it. It's a little short, almost taking the mark with Stanley on the line. Cameron doing the roving front and centre. He's tackled, farmed out a hand pass. Dalhouse, he falls to his knees. Chance for Jones now of the Saints. Hand pass was okay to Crouch, who was forced to kick hurriedly up to right half forward. Ball gets through a couple. King has to wait for it. Coming the other way, Henry. He had a fumble. Then wants to shepherd and help a couple of his teammates. One of them, Simpson, got a hand pass to Parfitt. High kick towards the top of 50.
Oh, back with the flight. Kent got hands to it. There was a hold happening behind him, though, and it was a Geelong player being held in Sean Higgins. And he'll get the free. 60 out, left half forward. Higgins across the ground, laterally and short to Collar Jasny, looks inside the forward 50, dangerous kick, he got it to Menegola, who takes the mark, but again there's a free off the ball, and Dunstan was felled before all of that, so he'll get the free at half-back for the Saints. St Kilda by 20 points, time on second term.
Short kick to Hill, and then Hill's pass was intercepted. Chance for Menegola, who kicks to Cameron, lace out, as easy as you like, that kills you. And he plays on Cameron around the corner and kicks another. That's his second of the afternoon. And Geelong respond. 5 straight 30. St Kilda 7-2-44. The margin 14 points after 23 minutes in the second term.
Normally when you turn the ball over like that off direct turnover when all your teammates are trying to get involved offensively. Who was it? Hill, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, and a short 45 too back into the corridor. It's really going to hurt you. So again, all his teammates have got up the ground trying to get lateral to the contest to open up the switch, and then hence why the Geelong players had so much room to move back into, and there's a really good kick in the end.
Sizzling kick, wasn't it?
Menegola, your man,
my boy,
doesn't lower his eyes.
He did
on
then.
the last 2 occasions. He's slotted up 2 teammates, but they had all that space to run back into. Jeremy Cameron doing what most really good forwards do, run back to the goal square, coming back up at the ball, providing a lead up, which most ball carriers enjoy lids, as opposed to this, give it to me now, I'm in the goal square, just kick it on my head.
Saints by 14 points, back in the middle. Selwood first possession at the centre bounce. Kicks one high up and under, still inside the centre square. Steele marks, and again there's a free kick in front of the stoppage. It's the third time just about we've seen that in the last minute, and it's going to go Geelong's way. So Simpson's going to get a free for a hold. Hands it to Menegola. Hurried kick inside. Hawkins marks. Just chucked it on the boot instinctively, Menegola. And Hawkins hitting up to meet it. Hugs it to his chest. He'll shoot from 40 out straight in front.
That'll go down as a
effective kick, won't
it?
Yeah. Well, it found a target, didn't it? They don't draw pitches. But it was just a quick smack it on the boot, and that was his forte that I noticed probably more so than anything else. But get inside 50, give him a chance. The big Hawk, he's very good one-on-one.
So to make it 2 in a minute, Tom Hawkins from dead in front. Oh, hits the post. 3/4 of the way up. Second poster of the day. 1 for either team. St Kilda by 13 points. Cats, though, have kicked 5 of the last 7. We're now 25 into the second term. St Kilda by 13.
Webster with the kick-in duties. Trots off. Gains about 20 metres, then slices his kick. It's out very wide. Dangerfield almost took it uncontested. Spilt it at the last moment. Menegola bumped over for a boundary throw-in. Half forward here for the Cats. Lights starting to take over here at Cardinia Park. Stanley in the ruck against Marshall. They engage, and then Marshall, there's another free kick. And it's going to Stanley. Just a bit, that was hard to pick in the ruck contest. Stanley, right half forward. He can kick this inside 50. It's a long kick to land 30 out, and Dangerfield from the side had one grab, not the second. Simpson came down with it. He's mobbed, going absolutely nowhere, and a ball up in the right forward pocket for the Cats.
Time on second quarter in Adelaide. It's Carlton by just 3 now, having led by as many as 16, so Port with a couple of goals. A 13-point lead for the Saints here, close to the boundary line, a heavy tackle. The umpire says I'll have it as Webster's locked up by Dalhouse.
Danger socks are back up.
Hawkins whacks it in the Dangerfield direction. Cameron tried to keep it alive. As Dangerfield let it go for him, Cameron was out of play. Forward pocket. We'll have another stoppage. A boundary throw in. Forward pocket for Geelong.
I might have a theory. I reckon first quarter being odd numbers, socks down, even numbers up. We'll see.
Simpson, how about the shark from the tap? He came through the stoppage but missed with his flying shot at goal. One behind. So 5-2-32 the Cats, 7-2-44 the Saints. 2 straight goals in the margin.
Cats kicking, by the way, to the city end or the Ford stand end of the ground, the Ablett Terrace, which is due for an upgrade, by the way. $142 million upgrade to begin at the end of the season for a 2-tier, 14,000-seat grandstand. We'll bring the total capacity of the ground over 40,000. Down here at Cardinia Park as the Saints from the kick-out. Caulfield, long ball to the wing. Thumped away at the back by Stanley. Down to Zach Guthrie. Spun around in the tackle. Puts it out on the full.
Don't reckon the opposition teams will get any more seats out of it, though. Their supporters. They're pretty tight on it down here.
I'm sure they'll raise the question about whether the extra capacity means they're able to host some bigger games and play all 11 of their home matches here. As Joyce goes back to Webster. Geelong, by the way, not in lockdown. Part of regional Australia that obviously had restrictions eased during the week, so they may be in a position to host some finals should they earn the right before Metropolitan Melbourne. A short kicking game now for the Saints as Joyce to Webster to McKenzie and now back to Joyce, still at right half back.
He kicks a low ball towards the wing. Big pack forms and Zach Guthrie. Double grab and mark is a good one. Stood in front of the pack that was coming right behind him. He pokes it in short to the logo. Mark taken by Kolajasny. He went off early in the first term, returned. Kolajasny, passing in the middle, is okay to Cam Guthrie. Behind the centre circles, wants to get things going a little quicker. Kick up the middle to find Henderson. Now Henderson inside 50, sees a one-on-one he likes. Cameron, one grab, and the second, yes, he's got it. And Cameron will line up from 50 out in the right forward pocket.
We all thought Simpson maybe stole that one for a second. I think the umpire did too, but on the second grab, pretty good ball movement, kind of textbook kind of training drill, wasn't it? Lids where you get at this fat side here, get it to the open side with a switch back through the corridor, then you got the whole ground to play with, and generally the space in the forward line is on that open side, hence why you try and switch the ball, and that's where they found a little bit of space for Jeremy Cameron.
Cameron from 49, it's a low kick, only just carried the line, but he's got it, and he's got 3. The Cats have 6, and the margin is back to a goal.
Well, I think if that was me having that set shot when we're up at the Giants, he'd be swooping around on his left. Well, you said he only just made the difference and he'd be trying to snap that and it would have gone through post high, but very measured kick, knocked it through. He started, well, his marking's been good so far today, Beach. Usually see him coming out full-chested and marking him on his chest, but
not renowned for his
contested overhead stuff, you know, so, but he's taken 2 or 3 of them already today, which is, you know, if he can add that to his bow as well already, you know how mobile he is, how good he is on the ground.
How good a runner is he?
He'll compete. Yeah, he's probably not like a Blitzarves, who's be elite down here, and Isaac Smith.
Yeah,
but
Blitzarves elite,
yeah,
wherever he goes. But like, he'd be
more of his speed, power, repeat, being able to back it up.
It's now 31 goals in 11 games for Jeremy Cameron, and one of them, of course, injury affected. His last start against Essendon a few weeks back. Dangerfield threw it out the middle in the tackle from Ross, so free kick for the Saints in the centre square. St Kilda by just 6. They've led all day, having kicked the first 5. Here's Seb Ross, puts it inside the forward 50. Marshall got hands to it, spills front and centre. Crouch, hand pass to Burns. He slings it back to Webster. Again, there's another free for something happening off the ball, and it was after Burns got rid of the footy. He was dumped in a tackle from Menegola, and he'll get the free left half forward for the Saints. Simpson, in fact, giving away the free as the kick heads into the pocket. Flying effort from Higgins, can't take the mark. Follows up with a tackle on Zach Guthrie right on the bell. So Geelong's quarter, they started to work their way back into things time on in that opening term. St Kilda kicking the first 5 of the game. From that point on, Geelong have kicked 6 of the last 8. So it was St Kilda by 31, and at halftime they lead it by just 6 points. The Saints 7-2-44, Geelong 6-2-38. The goal kickers for St Kilda, 2 for Max King. He was awesome in the opening quarter. Had a groin complaint either side of quarter time. He has returned but hasn't had a big influence since. Tim Membry with 2, 1 each for Jones, Jack Higgins and Cooper Sharman. While for the Cats, Jeremy Cameron has 3. 2 of them coming in that second quarter, and then 1 each for Stanley, Menegola and Close. 6-point lead for St Kilda here at half-time over Geelong. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide in front, having trailed by 16 points in this second term against the Blues. Time on in the second quarter, Orazio Fantasia putting Port up. So Port Adelaide lead by 4 points over Carlton. So that's 6-6 to 5-8. Earlier today, a win for Hawthorn down at York Park in Launceston. A 27-point victory for the Hawks. Daniel Howe with top votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio here at Cardinia Park. What do we make of that first half? A 6-point lead for the Saints.
Well, it was a great start from the Saints, wasn't it? They thought, have the Cats turned up here, and are they ready to get going? We saw them get brought in before Chris Scott got down to them at quarter time there by Joel Selwood, Mark Blitzarves, the leaders of that team. So, right, let's get to work here, boys. And I think it's shown that they've got their game up in Golden Beach, haven't they? They were down, 27-16 marks. We know they're a kick mark team. They've turned that around to be up 51-45. It's a half time, so started to control the footy, draw the Saints defenders out to allow them to get some more one-on-ones, and we've seen Jeremy Cameron be the beneficiary of that. We haven't seen Tom Hawkins come into the game too much. He's had probably the one shot on goal that hit the post, but getting their game up and going at the moment, the Cats, but the Saints have just done enough, haven't they, to really get themselves in front at this point in time. I thought the Cats were going to run all over them there to start that second quarter. They got a couple back to keep their handy lead, but Cats doing enough to get back into it, and I think it's really about, it's been a pretty good contest, Beach, to be completely honest with you.
It's kind of just a win-win for both teams in the first half. The Saints obviously winning the first quarter, Geelong winning that quarter, but yeah, Geelong definitely, I think their effort around the footy was a lot better, and I think, I'm not sure what the talk is, but I'd say that maybe that address from Selwood and Blitzars is more around just their effort and intensity. Let's get that back. But then they were setting up. We didn't see Saints have any free ball, essentially uncontested footy. You made mention they controlled the ball, but they also minimised and stopped St Kilda's uncontested marks and their overlap chain and their uncontested footy in general. So they set up better behind the ball. It looked like they were constantly trying to get, whether it was an off-ball winger to get in behind the ball, or it was one of their defenders sagging off to create a +1. So when Saints did get through initially, that they looked up, they really had nowhere to go. So a lot more sound behind the ball. They were better, around the ball with effort and intensity. So overall, I think they lift, because it was a really bizarre and poor start from Geelong after last week was, disappointing loss against GWS, and they could have continued their really good form and, cemented that top 2 spot. But it was a really poor start. So there was always going to be a response. And to St Kilda's credit, they withheld, for the middle part of that quarter, held up, competed, but they, just through sheer weight of numbers, I think Geelong, I don't know the stat, we don't have the time in forward half, do we? But I'd suggest it was heavily favoured in
Geelong, definitely that quarter. Yeah. When we see poor old Big Kingy down there, didn't get a sniff at all, and you hope that he's
not moving freely either.
No, he's not. So is that a result of his injuries? Obviously not 100%, but the Cats controlled the game and the footy in that quarter, which didn't give him much of a look. A couple of their goals were through faster play, weren't they? We heard a lot of the whistle blowing in that quarter. It was, but it's only like 14-13, I think, in terms of it's relatively even. I felt like it was lopsided towards the Cats, especially in that second quarter. I suppose you've got 16
no noise of affirmation here.
Yeah. Pardon?
No noise of affirmation here.
Well, that's it. But it just felt like it, didn't it? Like they were really capitalising on that momentum they had, and a lot of them were in that front half of the ground, so they were able to get looks inside 50 and ultimately score off the back of them. But, you wouldn't be unhappy if you were Brett Ratton at the moment, I don't think, and Chris Scott would be also pleased that he's seen a response as well. So a good game. Looking forward to the second half.
The numbers to back up all of what the boys just touched on. So in that second quarter, 35-18 the marks Geelong's way. So plus 23 in disposals in that second quarter alone. They had 5 more inside 50s. And Max King, 5 touches in the opening quarter, 2 goals, 1. Had an involvement in 5 of their first 6 scores. So kicking 2-1 himself and setting up 2 other goals. Also took 3 contested marks. He didn't have 1 possession in that second term, nursing what looks like a groin complaint. Oscar Clavarino and Quentin Narkle are the 2 subs, neither of them used so far. Half-time here at Cardinia Park and the Saints by 6 points. Meanwhile, it's Port Adelaide by 9 points as we close in on half-time at Adelaide Oval. And earlier today, the Hawks by 27 points over the Western Bulldogs. It is half-time, second half action, not too far away. Also, still to come tonight, of course, a double header. Some of you will be getting the game between Collingwood and the Brisbane Lions, and for everyone else, it's North Melbourne and Sydney at Docklands. Let's check out what's happening now in the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Regional New South Wales will join Sydney in lockdown from this hour. The stay-at-home orders commence from 5 p.m. and will last at least 7 days. Metropolitan Sydney has been in lockdown for 7 weeks. Tighter COVID restrictions will be enforced across Greater Sydney following a record 466 new coronavirus cases. Danuta Kazaki reports.
New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian.
And the case numbers overnight are extremely concerning. We cannot see this trend continue.
She says the main suburbs of concern remain in Sydney's west and southwest.
Blacktown, Doonside, Mount Druitt, Merrylands, Guildford and Auburn.
The Premier says everyone across Greater Sydney will be limited to exercising within 5 kilometres of their home. From Monday, there will be 500 extra Australian Defence Force personnel helping New South Wales Police. 4 people have died, including a woman in her 40s in palliative care, a man and a woman in their 70s, and a man in his 80s.
The number of COVID-19 cases in the New South Wales Hunter region's been corrected, with 13 recorded in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night. It was earlier reported that there were 16 new cases, but 2 have been retested and returned a negative result, while another lives outside of the health district. Of the 13 cases, 4 are linked to an aged care facility at Edgeworth. 3 were infectious in the community. Victoria, meanwhile, has recorded another 21 locally acquired COVID-19 cases, all linked to the current outbreaks, with almost half of them out and about in the community. Victoria's Health Minister Martin Foley says with positive cases in multiple suburbs across Melbourne, it's vital people come forward for testing.
So many Victorians have given up so much for us to be safe and to have, on global terms, a pretty sensible and safe set of circumstances in this state. But it's always at risk. It's always precariously balanced, and we are in that position today.
Queensland's recorded 6 new local cases of COVID-19 in the latest reporting period, as well as a young child infected in hotel quarantine. The state's Deputy Chief Health Officer, Dr. James Smith, says the Delta cluster is targeting children.
We've seen a greater proportion of children with Delta. It'd be wonderful to see children vaccinated, and I hope that'll come soon. But at the moment, we've got our priority groups.
The ACD has conducted more than 4,500 COVID-19 tests, recording just 1 additional case in the past 24 hours. That takes the total number of active cases in the territory to 7, though none are in hospital. ACT Chief Minister Andrew Barr says the message for Canberrans this weekend is very clear.
Please stay at home. Only go out if you absolutely need to. The best thing that you can do to protect our community, to protect your family and friends and yourself, is to stay at home over this weekend.
In the United States, 3 teachers in Florida's second largest school district, Broward County, have died from COVID-19 within a day of each other. The news comes as students prepare to return to classrooms next week. The district north of Miami is the 6th biggest in the United States, with over 270,000 students. School virus protocols have become the subject of fierce debate as the Delta variant spreads. Florida's Republican governor is threatening to withhold pay from school leaders who require masks for pupils. A former US commander in Afghanistan, David Petraeus, says the country is facing a nightmare as Taliban militants continue a lightning offensive. They now control half of Afghanistan's provincial capitals, and they're less than 80 kilometres from the nation's capital, Kabul. The US is this week dispatching 3,000 troops to evacuate diplomatic staff. President Joe Biden's defending the decision to withdraw all US forces, but David Petraeus says it needs to be reversed.
The situation obviously is just disastrous. It's truly a catastrophe. And what happens next depends very much on what the U.S. is willing to do and actually will do to show the Taliban that we will not allow them to take the capital.
And in breaking news, an Afghan official says Taliban militants have now launched a major attack on the large northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif. And the West Coast Fever move into Super Netball's preliminary final with a 75-67 win over the Sunshine Coast Lightning in today's minors semi-final. The Fever will play Giants Netball for a place in the grand final after the Giants went down to the New South Wales Swifts in a one-goal thriller. The Swifts defeated the Giants 62-61. You're up to date with ABC News.
Open your ears to the world with the ABC Listen app. Gain expert insight into the working world with This Working Life.
What you should actually be doing is you should be starting the business on the side now.
Or hear the best new music from First Nations artists in Blackout with Nookie.
Coming up, I've got OGs like Jess Malboy and the new gunners like Stay True God.
Open your ears to the world. Download the ABC Listen app today.
You little ripper!
Hey, Kurt.
Hey, another world record!
Hang on a sec. Who are you talking to?
No one. Gold for Australia!
Oh, the Olympics. What did we win?
No, mate, nothing yet. I'm just warming up. The main event starts when the Paralympics start.
Oh, I see. How, just how have they pulled that off?
See? You'll get the hang of it.
Catch You Little Ripper with Kurt Fernley and Georgie Tunney, your daily Paralympics podcast. Find it wherever you get your pods. The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Puts Brett Hill on the mark on the behind line, and Menengola standing next to the right behind post. He's going to have to snap it with his left. He runs into the field of play, snaps and nails it. Henry takes the mark. Henry looking for the direct route. He goes straight up the pipe. Long kick close. Takes a great mark. He comes close from 40 out. He kicks that pretty well. He loved it off the boot. Never looked like missing.
Butler runs out, meets it front on, hands it to Sinclair, 60 out, left up forward, kicks inside the forward 50. Great placement. Pinpoint drop punch straight on the chest of Jack Higgins. Oh, Higgins placed in no time. He's going to snap across the body, and Higgins puts it through.
Ball spills out the back. Kent looking for a hand pass, going past. It's Membry to make amends. He delivers. Short kick to Hill, and then Hill's pass was intercepted. Chance for Menengola, who kicks to Cameron, lace out. As easy as you like. That kills you. And he plays on Cameron around the corner and kicks another. That's his second of the afternoon. Now Henderson inside 50, sees a one-on-one he likes. Cameron, one grab, and the second. Yes, he's got it. Cameron from 49, it's a low kick. Only just carried the line, but he's got it, and he's got three.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds there of the second term. Geelong have kicked 6 of the last 8 in the game after conceding the first 5. So from 31 down, the Cats have got the deficit back to 6 at half-time. Corbin Middlemass, Andrew Mays, Brett Delidio, Brendan Goddard on Grandstand AFL. The other game taking place is at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide 8-6-54 lead Carlton 5-9-39. The Power kicking the last 5 goals of the second term. So from 16 down to 15 up at half-time. Port Adelaide leading that game. The stakes here are actually quite significant given the result in Launceston earlier today. It was Hawthorn by 27 points over the Western Bulldogs. Daniel Howe got top votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. So what it means in terms of the ladder, of course, with just one round left after this, if Geelong win here, they will go into second spot on the table. They'll actually provisionally go top spot. Obviously, Melbourne can win that back tomorrow against Adelaide, but it means they're set for a top 2 finish at the end of round 22, and that could come with potential home finals and all the rest of it. if St Kilda win this game, Port Adelaide will actually go from 4th to 1st provisionally on the table. So obviously Melbourne can win that back against Adelaide tomorrow. So potentially a top 2 finish for Port Adelaide, and that means 2 home finals instead of 1. So all of a sudden a bit on the line. And there's actually a scenario where the Western Bulldogs, if results go against them and they lose their remaining game, they could actually slip out of the top 4 completely. And by the end of the regular season, quite fittingly next week, we've got the top 4 teams playing against one another. The Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide expected to be the Friday night fixture, and then Geelong and Melbourne expected to be the Saturday night game.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good finish to the season. The AFL say, yeah, we concocted that, made it all nice. Look at the stars align.
No resting either, like we might
Perfect.
have seen previously, which will be
I used to hate
fantastic.
that rest. I just like the continuity of just going straight through. Is like,
Straight in?
Yeah, I just feel like you sort of halted it a little bit. I'm not sure what you were like.
The finals?
Yeah, that pre-finals bye. I just
didn't play them very often though, did you?
Oh, BJ with a crispy one. It only came in when I was playing finals, Brendan, so up your jumper for that one. Perhaps you blokes needed it.
No. I enjoyed it. Whenever I could get a week off, I always enjoyed it.
Fair enough. So pre-finals bye, yes? No, you're a no?
I'm a no.
Interestingly, there's talk that the pre-finals bye will actually be moved until later in the final series. So the early thought was, like the Super Bowl, let's put it before the grand final. The latest sort of murmurings out of AFL House is that the...
Was there a lot of sarcasm in that,
Yeah.
Corbin?
You know how we always get accused as broadcasters of copying US concepts and all the rest of it. The latest proposal that's been put forward is play the first 2 weeks of the finals, then have a break, and then play the final 4 teams after a week off.
Yeah, okay. Why would you want to do that?
So I think the theory is they have to move the last 4 teams to one location, you can stage, say, 2 games in the space of
get some fans
8
there.
days, put it in front of a crowd, clear some quarantine. It just gives them a few more options, buys them another week, obviously depending on what the scenario looks like in Melbourne. And I think just as footy fans have started to sort of get their head around the concept of the game being played in Perth, obviously they've got the brand new stadium there. It would be a great location. They've supported neutral teams in the past with things like the Dreamtime game. All of a sudden, even hear Richard Goyder speak on ABC Radio in WA earlier today that the AFL keeps falling back on, look, we got the contract with the Victorian government and with the MCC that this game is meant to be played in Melbourne, so it feels like they're just trying to stretch this out and give themselves every option that with whatever sort of capacity crowd that the game could potentially be still played in Melbourne, and obviously a later grand final and a break before the final 3 games of the year, and the final 4 teams would give them every chance to do that.
Couldn't play it at the G under 50%, could you? 75% even. Like, you need at least a huge... Like, you need 50,000 there.
It's hard to see them getting 50,000 in 6
well,
weeks.
exactly right. Given the situation we're in at the moment, but... I don't know. I didn't mind the Dreamtime game in Perth. I thought they did that really well, but... it's hard, isn't it? Like, I'm a bit of a traditionalist and I like it here, but I can also see the benefits of going interstate. I don't mind the NFL where they share it around and give everyone a bit of a taste of it.
It was interesting very early this morning, I watched the English Premier League, which returned overnight, to see a packed stadium with not one spare seat. I don't think you realise how much you miss the fans until we have them back.
Should we play it in the UK? Do you reckon that's a chance?
Right, are they leading the world in terms of percentage of their population vaccinated as well?
They'd be right up there, yeah.
I think they're at least top 4, so that's one of the reasons. But everyone's out there, just hurry up and go get vaccinated. I'll be making an appointment next week, I think, now that we're eligible, under 40 lids.
Correct. Yeah. Public service announcement from Brendan Goddard. We're all on board with that. Robert from Newport, why are there so many upsets this stage of the season? Got a theory on that, Beach, as we edge towards finals?
Footy's harder towards the back end of the season. Depending on who you are, players are obviously getting tired. It's been a long year, considering the circumstances as well. When you throw everything in, the travel, the uncertainty around where they're playing and when they're playing, all that kind of thing. So, teams don't have a lot to play for. Teams that aren't playing in the top 8, other teams, fighting for different reasons. Carlton are fighting arguably to get their coach, and a lot of different things, a lot of different reasons. But generally, the best teams always just find a way come this end of the year, hence why they're generally in the top 4.
Grant in Sydney off the SMS. Hi team, enjoying the great call as usual. Tassie should have had a team before any move or expansion team occurred, so very much in support of a Tasmanian licence.
We'll never stop getting talked about until they have their team, is it?
Absolutely.
Like, at every opportunity,
Happy to let that stand as comment. Second half action upon us. St Kilda by 6 points. Geelong with 6 of the last 8, though, on Grandstand AFL. You with Andrew Mays.
Dunstan from the middle, toe poked it to Jones, who had a stumble but then had the pace to get away from a couple of Cats. Short kick is out in front of Kent. The ball sits for him okay in the end. He gathers, sweeping hand pass into the middle to Steele. Back to Kent, who kept on running through the middle. Kick inside 50. King just ran underneath it. And then the fist came the way of Buse, who loops a hand pass to Blitzarves. Wasn't the most convincing. Blitzarves should have been gone. Holding the ball, it is. Great forward pressure, left forward pocket. Crouch never gave up the chase, and he can try and snap the first after about 50 seconds.
Well, I think Blitzarves thought, I've got away with this once here on this ground, deep in the defence. Zachy Bailey ran him down earlier in the year. He not quite so good there. Interesting to see Blitzarves started on King here in this second half. Made the swap from Jack Henry.
It was just like Connor was like...
Left forward pocket, Crouch kicks beautifully. Snaps it back to perfection. And St Kilda get off to a good start in the second half. 8-2-50. The Cats 6-2-38.
So Blitzarve knew that O'Connor there, being his teammate, was going to apply a block, but he just, I'm not sure, he just didn't close down. Crouch's intensity was really good, closed down Blitzarve's space really quickly, which I think caught O'Connor off guard, because Blitzarves could have arguably done the old cut towards your teammate kind of thing to make it easier for him, but really good pressure from Crouch, and had a bit of difficulty at times when the Saints have been able to get a really deep inside 50 of getting it out, being under pressure a little bit. Buse has been under pressure a number of times back there. He wasn't far from the pocket where the worst acting job in 2021.
Saints by 12 points. Brad Crouch with his first of the day, 8-2 to 6-2. Saints back out by 12. As play restarted back in the middle, the floodlights completely taken over here. The second half under that effect as Marshall wins it down. Cam Guthrie, the 1-2 with Selwood. Selwood gets it out eventually to Stanley, and now to Cam Guthrie. Floats a kick forward. There's a free kick for a hold. It's going Isaac Smith's way. Against Dan McKenzie. Smith goes short to Higgins. That's Sean. His namesake Jack out there for St Kilda with a busy second term. Sean Higgins in the middle of the ground for the Cats. Finds Henderson. Marks front edge of the centre square. Cats kicking to the Barwon River end in this third quarter. Henderson loads up, kicks to the top of the goal square. Hand on it from Crouch, getting back. Spills to Wilkies, locked up in the close tackle. A ball up 15 metres out from the Cats attacking goal.
Paddy's gone socks back up. So.
Yes, that's blown Brendan Goddard's theory right out of the water. Dalhouse came through the stoppage, tackled immediately. That ball going nowhere. Another ball up, this time at the top of the square.
You've got to find that. If Geelong win, we have a Geelong player. That's my question post-game.
Hawkins, great tap over the top. It was towards the goal line. He was looking for the run of Sean Higgins, but he just shoved Sinclair out. He almost dives over the line in the end. The ball in. Another stoppage inside attacking 50 for the Cats. This third term 3 minutes old. It's the Saints by 12.
So from the throw-in, Hawkins decides to palm it down rather than his usual efforts to grab it out the ruck. Still no clean possession. O'Connor eventually grabs it. Slick hands to Isaac Smith. He snaps but misses. Out to the left to behind. St Kilda's lead cut to 11. Isaac Smith rested against the Giants. One of their 5 inclusions.
Hill, out of his defensive goal square, goes the hand pass in the end. Out wider to Howard, who goes to a contest, and that ball smashed away and over a boundary throw-in left half forward for the Cats.
Just repeating half-time in Adelaide, the Power by 15 points over Carlton. And earlier today, a 27-point win for the Hawks over the Dogs.
Ball tossed back into play. Marshall was looking for the run of Steele. Dangerfield got onto it. Ball spilt free. Held on for a little too long. Steele can't believe it. He's pleading with the umpire. Dangerfield with the free kick. He's about 60 from goal. Repairing a divot too as he walks over to pick up the ball.
I think it should be called play on when the ball comes out in a tackle.
Yep.
Even
long kick to the top of the square. Sinclair, all the bravery in the world to back into the pack. He didn't know what was coming the other way. Took a very nice mark.
He's had a career year. The 26-year-old Jack Sinclair goes wide to McKenzie in the back pocket, kicks out to half-back. Sharman can't complete the mark, spills to blitz-ups. He's tackled, dispossessed. Dunstan had the blinkers on and Dalhouse got him. Came from 20 metres away to run him down. And Dunstan coughs up the footy, high half forward for Geelong. Dalhouse goes back and across to Menangola. They're queuing up through the corridor. Selwood's going to mark uncontested. Attacking edge of the centre square. Plays on. Closed down by Butler. Selwood kicks out wide to Close and a one-on-one. Webster punches it away. Good spoil. Finds the safety of the boundary line. And a throw-in 60 out from Geelong's goal. Saints by 11. 5.5 into the third term.
They led by 19 at quarter time, the Saints. 6 points at half time. Thrown back into play, Geelong into attack. Marshall won it down. Cam Guthrie, hand pass through the legs was good to Selwood, whose hand pass was behind Smith. Zach Guthrie had to go back in after it. Menangola now over the top. He tries to lock it in, comes out to Selwood. Now hand pass to Cam Guthrie from 70 out, puts it on his left boot. A good spoil in front by Howard. Protected the space. Hawkins tried to shove him out the way, couldn't do so. Strong fist. Boundary throwing inside, attacking 50.
Tomahawks put the baby oil on the arms at half-time, Lids.
Did you get around that, Lids, in your day?
I used to love that.
Here he is, Hawkins, trying to get the hit out from the boundary throw-in. They both miss it. Spills down to Dangerfield. Hand pass to Sean Higgins. He gives it back to Smith. Still 60 out at half forward. Through to Close. Threads his hand pass to Dangerfield. Centre half forward. Kicks across the half forward line. Henderson marks. There was a free kick for the late tackle anyway. And Henderson can have a set shot here right on the 50. He's going to lay it off to the big booming kick of Menangola. Pulls his kick and hits up Hawkins. Skids in and takes the mark. And Tom Hawkins can have a kick 35 out just right of centre.
Oh, how good a short kick is Sam Menangola. Like, seriously, he's one of the best short kicks.
Never kicks long, does he?
Never.
Always lowers his eyes.
Yeah. That was probably a little bit unfair from me. His
last 4 kicks. He's been short kicks on the inside 50.
And absolute lasers too. So no one was stopping him. The one to Jeremy Cameron earlier in the second quarter, and then that one to Tomahawk. Dougal Howard had no play on it.
Got a lot of looks from set shots today. Tom Hawkins, one of the best exponents at it as he moves in. His drop punt's pure. Straight through it goes. Geelong come up with their 7th. They move to 7-3-45. St Kilda 8-2-50. Saints by 5 points. It's as close as the Cats have been since the opening score of the game. 3 minutes in. We've now travelled 8 minutes into the third. Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio.
It was just through re-entries, wasn't it? They locked the ball in their forward half. Set up defensively really well behind the ball. I think it's St Kilda actually allowing Geelong to have a +1 behind the ball by coming up to the half forwards coming up to a stoppage, trying to create a +1 around the stoppage, which is now allowing. It's been Henderson on a number of occasions. So Saints have actually won the ball around a stoppage or a second, third phase from a stoppage and looked up, and there's Henderson essentially a kick away from the ball, so they had to stall and make a second, third decision. So doing a good job behind the ball, intensity around the ball, but they locked the ball in the forward half, had a number of inside 50s and found a little bit of space there. Just Tomahawk on the lead and Henderson knowing his limitations and just handballing.
Bounce in the middle. Marshall tried the hand pass to Hanbury. It was ripped away from him by Parfitt. Hand pass to Holmes, inside 50 with his kick. Radigalea couldn't take the mark. Wilkie, no fuss, gets it out of there. This might be deliberate if it goes out of bounds. Burns will try and get a hand on it. He does. Might have even got a boot on it in the end. I think he may have. Menangola with the free kick. Goes long on this occasion. Pops it to the top of the square. Radigalea couldn't get a run at it. Smith behind Ross. Ross happy to see it over for a rush behind. 8 minutes played. Third term. Saints by 4 points.
They did kick the first 5 of the game, St Kilda, to lead by 31 points. Time on in the first. We're now 9 minutes into the third, and Geelong as close as they've been since the opening moments, within 4. As Ross marks the kick out, then short to Sinclair, short to Caulfield, told to go. Off the back flank, gives it back to Sinclair, out of the defensive 50. Kicks a ball which is touched on the way through, floats down the wing. Zach Guthrie picks it off, bangs it back in the other direction for the Cats to centre half forward. Caulfield up, Howard in the other direction, punches out wide. Parfitt won't let it go out. In the pocket for the Cats, snaps to the top of the goal square. Bouncing footy, chopped off by Joyce, does well for St Kilda. Hand pass to Hanbury, who comes out to the wing.
Long kick. Henderson did well not to infringe. Turned his body at the last minute to face the ball. Then paddled it behind himself. Looking for Cameron. Couldn't find him. Sharman, though, for the Saints. Hand pass to Marshall. To Hanbury, who had a slip. Two cats went over him. He threw it on his boot while he's lying on his back.
Ooh.
And the umpire said holding the ball.
It was a late whistle, wasn't it?
Was that because of a drop kick or?
Yeah.
He was blindsided. I thought he got boot the ball.
I thought so too. Henderson with the free kick on centre wing. Just about every player bar two in front of him. He's going to switch play to the back of the centre circles where the mark's taken by Blitzarves.
Blitzarves short kick to Holmes. The only teenager on the ground. Has it alongside the centre circles. Goes short to Smith. Three-time premiership winning Hawk, his first year in the hoops. It's his first game last week, rested against GWS since making the switch. Goes out wide to Buse on the half volley, gives it to Menegola, spun around twice in the tackle from Burns. Tried to go after that, and the umpire said holding the ball. So free kick for Burns, the back flank. St Kilda by 4 points. Geelong with 3 of the last 4 in the game. As Burns not a heap up ahead, so he's going to go back to Howard. Mark still inside the defensive 50 for St Kilda.
Very short to Ross, who's unsure, I think, whether it was 15. So he played on immediately by hand to Webster. Dragged off his kick, but it had enough penetration to get to Kent, forward of centre. Kent just in front of the interchange benches. Has Sharman short. Goes longer to Marshall, who floats into space. Sharman's at ground level. Had a slip. Had to become the tackler on Henderson, who just muscled his way through the tackle. Got his hand passed away. It was to the feet of Blitzarves, who sees it over for a boundary throw-in. Just forward of centre wing. Interesting time here. Now Asava Radaglia getting some work done on the bench as well, so we'll keep an eye on him. Toss back into play. Well read by Parfitt. Hand pass to Simpson, who missed his target running past. Menengola had to go back and fetch it. A kick off one step is pretty good to come laterally right in front of the interchange where Cam Guthrie takes the mark.
Played his 200th last week, Cam Guthrie, the 41st cat to reach that milestone. It's back to Sam Simpson. Simpson short to Menengola. Goes short two to Buse. Told to play on. Centre half back. Hand pass wide to Henderson. Still in the defensive half. Goes back inside the defensive 50. Dangerous kick. Doesn't quite get its way to Buse. Good enough to run onto it. Runs away from Jones. Kicks down the boundary line, and Sean Higgins marks overhead right in front of the bench. 4-point lead for the Saints. 13 played. Third quarter. Cats with a bit of momentum here early in this third turn. He goes long down the line. Selwood up in front of the pack. There's another whistle on the play and a free kick. Selwood had his arms taken out. And a free kick between wing and half forward for the Geelong captain.
Selwood being brought round behind the man on the mark.
What was that thing on the ground, by the way, in the forward 50? Were you looking
Strapping.
at that? Strapping.
Looked like a stocking.
Very unusual.
It was very strange.
That was
Kick inside, 50. Henry with a massive fly. No mark. Hawkins snaps, turns towards goal. Doesn't make the distance. Closes there. He taps it over for a boundary throw-in.
Again, it's from Kolajasny's knee.
Right. Fair jump by Henry. Quite convinced he got a finger to it.
You don't often see that. The play went over the top of a bit of a luster plus or whatever it is that was stuck all over the
Tubi grip.
Yeah, it was on the playing arena, and the play went over the top of it. From the boundary throw in, Hawkins taps it down, follows up, fends off, straightens up. Great kick to Simpson. And Tom Hawkins, great bit of work in the air, slips the tackler and now sets up Simpson to put Geelong in front.
It's just a real get off of me, wasn't it? Stiff arm and real brute strength, but not only does he do that, but then he's got the nice little left foot touch as well, just to get it across to Simpson, give him a chance to knock one through. But that's the beauty of having Tomahawk down there, being able to take those ruck throw-ins.
So from 31 down in the opening term to in front, Sam Simpson puts it through and the Cats lead for the first time in the game, midway through the third quarter. They skip out to 8-4-52, St Kilda 8-2-50. First lead change of the game, Cats by a couple. Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio.
It's not stacking up well for them, is it? They get in front by 2 points, but it's been all Geelong again this third quarter. Apart from St Kilda winning the first, they haven't had too much of the footy, to be honest. So Geelong dominated again, keeping the ball in their front half. I'd suggest St Kilda's maybe had 4 inside 50s this quarter. Lucky to be that. So just highlighting the dominance of Geelong and just their ability to keep the ball in their forward half. Slow down St Kilda every time they do win it. We can see them. There's
1 inside 50.
1 inside 50. Jeez, I was generous. A lot of the Saints players are loading up on that switch, but from there they can't go anywhere. They're trying to create a bit of overlap, but again, Geelong is set up so well behind the ball.
Radaglia back on, which is good news for Cats fans. Joyce over the top, won the tap though. Dangerfield, defensive side of the stoppage, is able to mop up for the Cats. Kicks a wobbly ball off his left to centre half forward. No mark taken. Simpson roves. Hand pass to Holmes, who poked a kick inside 50. Mark was dropped. Now a chance for Radaglia at centre half forward. Hand pass to Parfitt. Out wider to Selwood. And the chip inside 50 just missed Simpson over his head. Couldn't quite rein it in. Kick comes from Howard, a long way up. Zach Guthrie in a wrestle there with Jack Higgins. Gave it to Jack Henry, had to ride the Higgins tackle. He hand passed to Menengola, now to Buse, who chips inboard. It's a good kick too, and O'Connor takes the mark.
Cats by 2 points. Meanwhile, over in Adelaide, 7.5 minutes into the third term. Port now by 28. Carlton led that by 16 points in the second quarter. Now Port Adelaide by 28 points there. As O'Connor comes wide to Cam Guthrie, the All-Australian from last year, in front of the interchange. He goes long down to half forward. Dangerfield forced to spoil from the back down to Hanbury. Through traffic, gives it to McKenzie. His hand pass picked off. Pack forms around Howard. Umpire says ball up just inside Geelong's 50.
They're sniffing it now, the Cats, aren't they? They're running in numbers, putting them under a heap of pressure.
Umpire chucks it up. Radaglia swats it down. Hanbury, hand pass to Steele, goes back to Ross. Surge kick out of the defensive arc. Pitches it centre half back for the Saints. Membry knocks it down to Butler. He's tackled by Parfitt. Umpire circles and says ball up between wing and half forward for Geelong.
Ball thrown up. Radaglia in the ruck. Wins it down to Parfitt. Good hand pass to Smith. Now to Cam Guthrie. Kicks a banana inside 50. Punched away from Higgins. Now Burns. Good tackle by Close. Took him ball and all. Popped out the back. Still a chance here for the Cats. The Saints make sure it doesn't come out. Circling around there. Hawkins. He'll get to his feet with the ball in the end. Stoppage inside 50. Ball up to take place 30 metres out from the Geelong goal. Central location, Hawkins to do the ruck work. Oh, great tap as well to Sean Higgins, who just got space on his opponent, shrugged the tackle, hand pass to Simpson, great kick, inboard, finds Smith, all on his own, 35 out slide angle to the right.
Great kick in the end, great vision. Not a lot of guys would look that far backwards and sideways from that pocket. I thought initially he was just going to, off one step, have a shot at goal, but great vision, great tap, obviously a bit of a set play from Tomahawk and to his Sean Higgins on that occasion, but just hitting it forward into space, creating that space. The forwards getting out of play, coming up around behind the ball, so there's actually forward.
In comes Smith. He makes no mistake. Hit that one purely. Started with a behind at the start of this third term, Isaac Smith, but he's on the board now. 18 minutes played. Third term on Grandstand AFL. It's the Cats 9-4-58 leading the Saints 8-2-50.
Yeah, you spoke about how good that kick was. That was probably the Cats when they were at their best many years ago. Talk of Stevie J and Matty Stokes and Big Moons and that when they were down there, ability to bring each other into the game. It seems like it's something that they've really kept going in their forward line, led probably by Tom Hawkins, who was there in those days with those boys and learnt it from them. But you should see what the Saints can do now. The momentum's going well and truly against them. In the old days, it'd be sending Brendan Goddard straight back behind the footy, see if we can get some control of it. Can't do that anymore, though, can you?
Well, I was just about to ask. They're sending the one up, the half forward, which is probably generally a midfielder, up to the stoppages, but they're not winning the stoppages, have any influence, which then when they do win it, essentially off a clearance off Geelong in their back half, they look up and Geelong's got a +1, so they've got to change that tactic.
They get some go forward here. Dunstan away towards Kent, who turns and swings his kick inside 50, and Membry takes the mark, 45 out, true centre half forward.
As we say, but winning the clearances obviously helps. So, but even with their +1, they got around the ball. Geelong are doing such a good job to soak that up that it's not having an impact, or they're not having an impact. So Geelong are winning it going forward, and then, as I said, when St Kilda do win it and actually think that they look like they're half a chance of moving the ball freely and getting uncontested chain, they look up and they can't move it anywhere because Geelong is set up so well behind the ball with a +1.
Oh, he's 43% accuracy for the year. He sneaks this in. A momentum shifter, perhaps. One St Kilda desperately needed. And after 3 straight Geelong goals and conceding the lead, the Saints cut it back to 2 points. The Cats by a couple. 9-4, St Kilda 9-2 as we tick into time on third term.
Well, that's the best way to halt momentum, is get a score on the board. We just saw a big Asava Radigalia. He come off the ground, got his legs strapped up. I'd suggest that'd be a big corky that he's suffered in that marking contest down that forward line. He's currently sitting on the bike, trying to free it up, get some blood, getting through that, get some sort of movement into it. But he was really hampered
into his leg,
into his that cork. Would you say no?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure where you're going with that.
No, I'm with you.
He was battling in that ruck contest, Asava Radigalia, limping around.
Brendan.
Ball to be tossed up, back in the middle. Geelong 9-4-58, St Kilda 9-2-56. Tossed up, Stanley won it down. Hannanbury got separation from his opponent, kicks towards centre half forward. It came off the boot into the arms of Dunstan, who received the mark. Still about 2 kicks from goal. Shallow entry, it's wide. Sharman couldn't get to it. He's there on the bounce. He fights for it at ground level. And then Henderson might have dived into his back. He wanted the free, so did a couple of his teammates. Instead, it'll be a stoppage at the top of 50. St Kilda trail by 2. Kicked the first of this third term and answered 3 Geelong goals with the last. From the stoppage, Jones, hand pass to Hannanbury, back to Caulfield, kick inside 50. Where are the jumpers? Jack Higgins almost got separation. Good hand pass by Sharman. Now to Crouch, who tries to thread the needle. 2 in a row, and 2 for Brad Crouch, and the lead is back with the Saints. 10-2-62. Geelong 9-4-58, 21 played third term on Grandstand AFL.
No, just for so much dominance, they really have little to show for it now. There's 2 quick ones from the Saints, one being a quick kick out of a centre square bounce, and then great finish from Crouch just quietly, straight off the hands, front and square. Don't know who handballed it to him, but
essentially he hit it pure, didn't he?
And then just off one step through a little corridor that was created between 2 Geelong players. Right behind it, did not look like missing 2 steps, 3 steps. In footy language, it's off 1 step.
But that's not usually his goal, is it? When you just got to cut up the best of Brad Crouch, you don't really expect him to shoot like that on the run.
No, exactly. And a perfect way to answer what we just said. What does St Kilda do now? Well, win that first clearance out, Membry bang, and then just wrestle it back and kick another one.
Kick more goals than the opposition.
That's it. Like David Teague, specialty.
2 for Brad Crouch. They've both come in his third term as Joel Selwood back in the middle. Hurried clearance for Geelong to centre half forward. Holmes out to meet it. Controls it on the bounce. Hand pass to Stanley. Back to Holmes. Sweeping hand pass to O'Connor. He swings one in the middle of the ground. It's picked off. Membry intercepts for St Kilda. Saints back the other way. Steele under pressure. Gives it to Hill, who has a fumble. Costs St Kilda. Dangerfield's hand pass out in the path of Dalhouse. Kicks across the ground. Joyce picks it off, though, for the Saints. Hand pass to Caulfield, to Steele, and now to Sinclair, all by hand. Crouch gives it to Jones. He kicks to high half forward. Jack Higgins sells the dummy to get around Zach Guthrie. From 70 out, kicks deep to King. 1 out in the cage. He goes up. He can't mark. He'll get a free. He was being held, and Max King will take it. Left forward pocket. He'll kick from 15 out. Was that there, Beach? I didn't see it.
I thought he's calling for a hold.
That's what. Yeah.
Essentially, you know what it's like as a defender, or when you're defending, that you want to body contact. So you got your left arm and your right arm being the spoil arm. That you just have your left arm around their waist, and there's nothing in that. Don't try and look for something and create something.
Looked like they both went up in the air. Didn't seem to be a heap of contact. But a freebie for Max King to try and convert. King goes back, stabs at his drop, punt and misses out to the right. Gee, you'd expect him to kick that a minor score. So King with 2 in the opening quarter. He now has 2-2 for the day. It's been very quiet after quarter time. Had an explosive opening term. St Kilda by 5 points. Time on in the third.
Smith with a massive kick to Dangerfield, who took it on the way down. Good grab. As you can see here, the Saints, I think that might have hit the ground. Long kick from Dangerfield, rather hurriedly off his left boot in the end. Stanley up over the top. Ball travels inside 50. Howard first there. He's pushed over the line. That surely can't be deliberate. Hawkins trying to appeal. It'll be a throw-in 40 around from the Geelong goal. That's the quickest piece of ball movement I reckon we've seen all night from end to end.
High possession game. 5-point lead for St Kilda. From the boundary throw-in, the Cats win it. Simpson away towards Dangerfield. He links up with Dalhouse and then to Zach Guthrie. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Cameron wrestles Wilkie for it. Spills down to Sinclair. Last line of defence. Great pass out to Kent, who drops a chest mark. Really should have swallowed that up. Now he's under the pump. Tackled, dispossessed. Deliberate. Gee, so Kent's going to be pinged for a deliberate out of bounds. Dalhouse is going to take it. Dalhouse to get the free. 45 out, 50 out up against the fence. To pump it back into a congested forward 50. He kicks to the top of the goal square. Big Marshall's back. And the man they call the prospect, Roland Marshall, in the defensive goal square for St Kilda.
Oh, dicey kick to Jones. Hawkins came a little bit late in that contest. Saints players wanted 50, nothing doing. Jones, a couple of options in the left back pocket. Instead he goes to the right back pocket where Caulfield takes the mark. In fact, it's Steele. Steele backing back. Spins the ball in his hands. He's going to be forced to go down the line. Long kick looking for Marshall, or King rather, who'd come a long way up from inside forward 50. Takes a good mark at the front of that pack. A couple of options running past. He looks keen to hand pass this. Kicks towards Marshall, who floated forward, and Dangerfield juggled about 6 times to finally take that. Not a lot of pressure coming. Switch was almost on. He almost went back inside defensive 50. Instead runs to the point of the square and puts it out in front of Lockie Henderson running inside 50. He can't quite reach there, although he'll end up with the ball in the end after the Saints were dispossessed. He puts it to the top of the square. Hawkins couldn't take the mark. Now at ground level, Hawkins does more work and threads the needle. Got through 2 Saints. He kicks his second. And the Cats are back in front by a point.
Well, that was one of the weirdest kicks I've seen from Lockie Henderson. I didn't mind that the Dangerfield kick across the field onto the 45 and, encouraging the offside runners to really get involved. Probably asked a little bit too much of Henderson to be able to get the wheels churning to get onto that.
Just at his age, just a little too much, right?
I'm not sure he's ever been the quickest bloke across the turf, but he did end up with it. If it wasn't for a little fumble, he probably could have just gone straight in and kicked a drop punt, but kept running towards the boundary and still didn't look like a difficult kick, but we are calling it from the box. And instead he skied it and made a 2v1 for Tomahawk, but clever. As we hear Brendan Goddard's playlist just coming on in the background, where a little dribble goal and get the big Hawk with another one.
Hawkins up to 49 for the year now. So he's second in the Coleman medal tally behind Harry Mackay on 58. Of course, Harry not playing today, and in between them, Josh Bruce then down on 48. And obviously we know, very unfortunate news, his year over with that ACL confirmed during the week. The Cats eventually out the middle as Sean Higgins hands it out to Menegola, tumbles a kick down to half forward. Could be okay for Jeremy Cameron. Runs onto it, tackled, dispossessed by Cal Wilkie. It's still in the back pocket for the Saints. Sinclair went without it, ran into his own teammate. Cats back onto it. Holmes hand pass to Cameron. His kick smothered. Trying to bounce it through. What an unusual smother from Tara Joyce. Looked like he fell across the leg of Cameron. And the ball locked up and spurted through for a minor score. So that's a really weird behind to try and describe on radio. A 2-point lead for the Cats approaching three-quarter time.
They move it quickly to left half back. Higgins tries to keep it in. Jack, that is. Dangerfield pushed over the line. And as is Ross, who had the ball in the end.
It was a smother, but I think, did he smother it with his legs?
Yep.
Well, he took his leg out, which he's probably lucky he hasn't done.
He attempted to smother with his right leg. It's almost like when you see in soccer when they try and block a shot from the striker. Oh, it worked. Dunstan with the clearance. Hand pass to Hill, who pulled his kick. It was good in the end, and it finds Jones. Jones thought about going quickly, had Crouch running past, opted against that. He's called the play on. Dummies. And then kicks over the top to Jack Higgins, who might have been taken high a couple of times. Umpire wave play on. Cam Guthrie works the 1-2 with Henry, then further back by hand to O'Connor. O'Connor chips the pass inside, and inside his own defensive 50 to find Kolajasny.
So Kolajasny out wide to Cam Guthrie. He's had a big quarter, his 11th touch for the term. And he goes short and wide. Out to Smith. The 32-year-old on the back flank for Geelong. Waning moments of this third term. And that'll do us. 3 lead changes all coming in the third quarter. Was St Kilda by 31 points. Time on in the opening term. They led by 19 at quarter time, 6 at the half. And now at three-quarter time, it's the Cats who lead it by 2 points. 10-5-65, St Kilda 10-3-63. The goal kickers, Jeremy Cameron has 3 in his first game back since round 16. He's missed the last 5 with that hamstring. 2 for Tom Hawkins. They both came in that third term, and then 1 each for Stanley, Smith, Menengola, Close and Simpson. While for St Kilda, Membry has 3. 2 for Max King, 2 for Brad Crouch, both in the third term. 1 for Zach Jones, Jack Higgins and Cooper Sharman. Meanwhile, in Adelaide, we're approaching three-quarter time. It's Port by 35 points over Carlton. So 11-10 to 5-11. Carlton led this game by 16 points. Now Port Adelaide lead by 35 as they close in on three-quarter time there. Here, though, the Cats by 2 points. Big game in the context of the season. The Saints need to keep winning. For the Cats, they can assure themselves a top 2 spot by the end of the weekend, regardless of other results. If they can turn a 2-point lead into a victory, we'll find out next on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and News Radio. This is Grandstand AFL.
G'day, I'm Jan Fran.
Absolutely not true.
And we have a quiz show
Kinda.
that will put an end to fake news.
Slight overreach.
Catch the new show about getting your facts straight.
It showcases the best new comedians.
Yeah, that bit's true.
And it gives you the tools to tackle misinformation.
Question everything.
People call me misinformation.
Really?
Drop in for a new show with Will Anderson and Jan Fran. Wednesday nights on ABC TV and stream it on ABC iView.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Loops hand past the Blitzarves. Wasn't the most convincing. Blitzarves should have been gone holding the ball. It is. Great forward pressure. Left forward pocket. Crouch never gave up the chase. Left forward pocket. Crouch kicks beautifully. Snaps it back to perfection.
And Henderson can have a set shot here right on the 50. He's going to lay it off to the big booming kick of Menengola. Pulls his kick and hits up Hawkins. Tom Hawkins, one of the best exponents at it as he moves in. His drop punt's pure. Straight through it goes. Geelong come up with their 7th from the boundary throw in. Hawkins taps it down, follows up, fends off, straightens up. Great kick to Simpson. So from 31 down in the opening term to in front. Sam Simpson puts it through and the Cats lead for the first time in the game.
Hand pass to Simpson. Great kick. Inboard. Finds Smith all on his own. 35 outside angle to the right. In comes Smith. He makes no mistake. Hit that one purely. Good hand pass by Sharman. Now to Crouch, who tries to thread the needle. 2 in a row. And the lead is back with the Saints. Now at ground level. Hawkins does more work and threads the needle. Got through 2 Saints, and the Cats are back in front by a point.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Cats by 2, 3 lead changes in the third quarter. Game in the balance. Geelong and St Kilda here in the twilight. Meanwhile, in Adelaide approaching three-quarter time, it's Port who lead by 36 points. Hold the phone. They've just kicked another, so make that 42 points, Port Adelaide over Carlton. 2 big games tonight, North Melbourne and Sydney at Docklands, and up north at the Gabba, the Brisbane Lions and Collingwood. Quentin Hull there for Grandstand AFL. Q.
G'day, Corby. Of course, this was the game that was due to be played just before Easter here, but because of the lockdown in Queensland, it was moved to Melbourne. And Zach Bailey covered himself in glory with a kick after the siren. How things have changed for Collingwood since then. This will be their 8th game under Robert Harvey. They've only won 2 of those 7 previous. Most recently a loss to Hawthorn at the MCG. But gee, doesn't the Hawks form start to look a bit better considering the result from earlier today? They did beat the West Coast a couple of starts ago at the MCG, the Magpies, and they do have Josh Dacos coming back into the team tonight, which is great news for Pies fans, even though Isaac Quainer is among a couple of changes to the team that did go down to the Hawks last week. While for the Lions, it looks like all bar the mathematicians can cause an argument for a home elimination final. If they get to play at home, whenever that elimination final is, it looks like Brisbane's going to be finishing 5th or 6th unless some crazy things happen. Well, they did to the Dogs today. You've got a tight one there at Cardinia Park. Port look like they're holding up their end of the bargain so far. So essentially they need the Dogs to lose again next week, Geelong to lose this week and next, and Port to lose this week and next, and then hope Brisbane wins big on 2 occasions and their percentage gets ahead of that group to get into the top 4. So let's just say that the Lions are building for a cutthroat final in the first week of the finals, and they get Darcy Gardner back after he injured his shoulder in Q Clash earlier in the season, and the in-out season of Locke Neal is in again with the Brownlow medalist winning a place back in the team after not playing against Fremantle last week. It was a good win against the Dockers. They've lost to Hawthorn, Richmond and St Kilda in the last 5 weeks. They've been up and down and round about the Lions, but they're back on their home deck, and they need to beat Collingwood well tonight to give any kind of hope that they are going to be a contender for the flag. No late changes and perfect conditions.
Thanks, Q. Looking forward to the call. So that's our next stop, Brisbane and Collingwood on Saturday night footy. Final takes here before we get into the final term. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio.
Well, it's set up for a cracker, isn't it? So a little 5-minute burst there from St Kilda against the Tide. I would have thought dominance from Geelong early in that third quarter, or for the first third of it, and then did a pretty good job, just a bit of an arm wrestle probably for the last 5 or 6 minutes, St Kilda, just to keep themselves just within reach. 2 points Geelong, but it's fair to say I think the ball's probably in Geelong's court at the minute, Liz, just with the momentum in the last 2 quarters they've dominated.
Well, I'm looking to Statsman to give me who's the better last quarter team, and then I'll make my prediction off the back of that.
St Kilda are 10-10, so 50-50. Geelong have only lost 4 final terms all year.
There you go.
Final quarter action, Cats by 2 points. First possession though to Dunstan as he kicks hurriedly and wide up in the air. And Menegola drops in the hole, takes the intercept mark. Back edge of the centre square for Geelong. He goes short to Kolodjasny. Outer edge of the centre square. Now runs onto the wing. Long kick deep. Cameron and Radaglia. Cameron flies. Spills down front and centre to Ross. Oh, he takes a bounce and lost control of the footy. Run down by Sean Higgins. Umpire says ball up. He says a ball up.
He doesn't know the rules.
Ross ran 15 metres across the ground, took a bounce, was tackled, and Higgins should be shooting for Geelong, 30 out straight in front. The umpire says, I'll have it.
It doesn't make sense.
Try and figure that out. Close with the hand pass that was knocked down. Sinclair got a toe poke on it. Steele was bumped off it. Cleared the danger zone, though. Dalhouse works the 1-2 with Cam Guthrie. Now the hand pass over the top to Close, who swings around in about a 270-degree angle. Got his hand pass away. Cam Guthrie gets the kick forward. Hill, he's tackled, and I was waiting for the square up there. The umpire paused a long time. We'll have a ball in as he was tackled over the boundary line and out of bounds at the top of 50.
That's where the out of area Duke County umpire should step in and go, mate, that's holding the ball. That's an absolute blunder.
Hawkins grabs it out of the ruck, gets a little kick away to Smith. He puts it inside 50, touched on the way through. Dangerfield onto it in a flash. Straightens up and Menegola marks. 45 out, centre half forward for the Cats. That is unbelievable. I'm still getting over that last decision. I mean,
when you take a bounce, that is all your prior opportunity gone. So if you get tackled, regardless of whether you fumble it, that is, every time I've seen it, that's been holding the footy.
We can write the gravestone for that rule. Jeez. You could pay in the back, you could pay holding the ball. One thing you couldn't pay is a ball up. It's Menegola with a drop punt. It looks left off the boot. It is behind.
Did he fumble it?
It just didn't come back to him.
He bounced the foot. He didn't quite come back to him. Then he picked it up again, and then he was drilled. And the umpire said, ball up.
Do you lose possession when you fumble it?
So therefore he should start it again,
Correct.
2 minutes into the final
we
term.
don't know the rules.
Geelong by 3.
Webster goes very short to Ross. Outside of defensive 50, his kick's a good one to McKenzie. This is the next step for the Saints where they've been falling down. He goes to hand pass to Hanbury, who has to snap. It's around the boundary line. It pitches just inside and out of bounds. Not a bad result for the Saints. They'll get a stoppage right on attacking 50.
But you could even make the point that if he picked the footy back up, he didn't make enough of an attempt to keep it moving or get rid of it.
Yeah, but now you're clutching at straws.
It's interpretation, unfortunately.
I think we're all happy to see that played holding the ball. Cats by 3 points. Boundary throw in, half forward for the Saints. Cam Guthrie looks for the safety of the boundary line. In fact, is going to stay alive as his little grubber kick bends back to the advantage of Ross, who's tackled, taken to ground by Close. We'll have a ball up here just inside the boundary line, eastern side. At Cardinia Park, it's a 3-point lead for Geelong over the Saints. It's three-quarter time, meanwhile, in Adelaide. Amazing Port over the Blues by 41 at three-quarter time.
Yeah, 65-point turnaround in that game. Now for the Saints, Kent snaps off his left inside 50. This will get out the back. It pitches the ball and just held in the air for a while, enticing a couple of Saints towards it. But the Geelong have the numbers. Smith, short kick, goes to Menengola. Long kick out of defensive 50. Dangerfield backing back into the pack. And it's over for a boundary throw-in. Socks down in this final term too for Patrick Dangerfield. So he's gone down, up, up, down. It's full quarters.
Means business.
Maybe that's his.
He's quicker, I reckon, with socks down.
For the boundary throw-in, Stanley grabs it out of the ruck. Hand pass away to Cam Guthrie. He's tackled. Trying to give it back to Dangerfield, who's out of room. So a boundary throw-in.
It's really fascinating how he does it. Is it when he?
You don't get this on the other stations, do you? I don't reckon. The little things that we pick up on.
Yeah, pick up on
haircuts,
little details.
I would love if there's something behind it. If it's like a set play, that
has to be. He can't choose. Just run it, pull his socks up, down.
As if they're running some sort of a play when he's got them down or up, or extra man back around the stoppage, something like that. Hurried kick down the wing from the Cats is picked off. Menegola straight to Howard. So intercept mark, kicks St Kilda back up into the front half. Marshall brings it to ground. Free kick. There's a high tackle. Oh, and it's on Dangerfield, who wasn't really even involved in the passage of play against Marshall. So two of them wrestling on the ground, and Dangerfield gets the free. A half-back for Geelong goes laterally to Sean Higgins. And the 33-year-old, the former Bulldog, across the half-back line, and Blitzarves takes the mark. Left half-back for the Cats. Geelong by 3 points. We had 3 lead changes in the third quarter after St Kilda led by 31 in the opening term. It's the Cats by 3 now.
Shallow kick from Blitzarves. Didn't reach Colin Jasny, who came in late. Could have been an element of high there as he charged towards the ball, but collected McKenzie in the process. Now at half-back for the Cats. Menengola. Hand pass was a bit too hot for O'Connor, who surely took Kent out there. A bit of justice for the Saints as they get the free kick from out of bounds on the full. And we've lost the footy too. It's in the second row. We can see it up here, but poor old Tim Embry can't downstairs. So he won't have the journey here. He'll just poke it into the pocket, looking for the run of King, who's got 2 Cats to contend with. Henry and Blitzarves getting back. They both spoil him out of bounds. Right forward pocket for St Kilda.
He's looked a bit uncomfortable since coming back, Max King.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if he plays next week, given how sore he looks and how poor he's moved in this last 3 quarters.
He played like a weapon in the opening term. He kicked 2 goals and set up a couple of others, and yet went off late in the quarter with what looked like a groin complaint and hasn't looked like himself since from the boundary throw-in. Still no clean possession as Geelong just knock it towards their goal. Close bottom of the pack. He's tackled after grabbing possession. And now a ball up. All of a sudden 60 metres away from St Kilda's goal. Saints coming home to the Barwon River end. Geelong towards the Applet Terrace. As we touched on earlier, set for reconstruction at the end of the season and a new 14,000-seat grandstand to be built. From the stoppage, close again, the first clean disposal. Hand pass away to Dangerfield. Gives it to O'Connor. Shoots a hand pass out wide to Buse. Still inside defensive 50. Hurried handball too hot for Dangerfield. Stanley mops it up. Back to Buse and they're out. Kicks it to Higgins. That's Sean inside the centre square.
And he has Henderson streaming through right half back. He finds him, and by the time he gets it, he's going through the wing. Kicks up to Radigalia and also Cameron. Spoiled away from him. Howard came late. Good contest. Cameron wraps him up and a stoppage at the top of 50.
It was well done by Howard, as Cameron had really done well to get rid of Wilkie was on his own, really, so well read.
Hawkins doing the ruck work now, up against Marshall. Both of them missed it. Parfitt, hand pass to Hawkins, hand pass to Cam Guthrie, out wider still to Sean Higgins, who buys himself a bit of time, delivers inside 50. I think it might have been off the side of the boot in the end. It ended up with Radigalea. Sinclair was harder and stronger than anyone at that contest. Came through, and it's a good kick to Burns, who dropped what he should have taken. Luckily, Webster was there to mop up. Then Burns, dicey little chip over the top. O'Connor tried to trap it, couldn't do so. Kent, now Jones. He has the boundary line for safety. Doesn't think he was pushed out in the end. He's happy to see it out of bounds, though, as it's in the attacking half for the Cats. 8 minutes gone, final term. They lead this by just 3.
Zach Jones, the only St Kilda player in their 23 today to have tasted victory on this ground 3 times with his stay at the Sydney Swans from the boundary throw. And Cam Guthrie, like a heat-guided missile, kicks it straight onto the chest of Hawkins. And falling to ground in characteristic fashion, hugs it to his chest, left forward pocket.
Again, another great kick by the midfielders of Geelong. Howard was right there, just on his backside, but he had no chance of getting to that kick. It was low, hard. It was at the knees of Hawkins, which just allowed him to go down and get it.
Hawkins snapping across the body, and that's like shelling peas for him. Through it goes for his third, and all of a sudden, Geelong by 9 points. Their biggest lead in the game. 9 played, final term. Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio.
Well, it was the bodywork of Brendan Parfitt. Wasn't it his best day today? But his work rate, I've noted just before, was in that pocket. He nearly could have got it, chased the ball all the way out. He was at the next contest. Gets Zach Jones underneath the footy, which allowed Cam Guthrie just to fly through. And he's a beautiful finisher, Cam Guthrie, with given time and space, left or right. And as we saw there, that was just, as Brendan spoke about, that was an absolute laser just onto the chest. And it's a nice old target, that chest, don't get me wrong. But it was a beautiful kick. And as you called, Corby, nice snap around the corner. It went through more than post height from about 40 out.
Cats with a 9-point lead. 9 minutes played, final term on Grandstand AFL. Stanley over the top. Marshall tried to fetch it at ground level. Holmes fell over it. Still went in for the Saints. Hand pass to Jones, who dummied once, then twice, then kicks inside 50. It's a shallow entry. Henderson got out the back and took the mark. It's a free kick anyway to O'Connor. O'Connor brings it out wide, looking for Stanley. Sinclair backing back with the flight. Ran interference. Holmes, hand pass to Simpson, running past, dragged down. Still got his hand pass away to Blitzarves. Over the top, the kick is okay to Higgins. Ross did well enough. Should have been play on. I didn't think he made too much contact with Sean Higgins. He's going to receive the free kick. No, it's going to go to Ross for too high. What? There you go.
Who's trying to mark the ball?
Did he point the wrong way originally?
I don't know.
So Ross goes short to Sinclair. Sinclair stabs at his drop punt to Crouch, who marks.
There has been some baffling decisions tonight.
Right on the logo. Eastern wing. He goes out wide to McKenzie. Along the boundary line, goes for a run, takes a bounce. High ball inside 50. There's another free.
Down the ground.
Yep. Not controlling umpires picked it out. It was McKenzie who was dumped after disposing of the footy. Sam Simpson is the man who gave away the free, and Jack Higgins is going to get a set shot.
I've never understood blokes that push after that, but
he was I think it was more in the side, that one, Liz, but he's arguably affected his kick, so then how is it downfield?
Yeah, well, unless it's right in the back, but if it's in the side, then it's okay. I've always thought, try and tackle, drag him back. Don't push forward.
Higgins wanted the kick, he won't get it. This is Cooper Sharman on the set shot, and he has been a sharp shooter, and right on cue, he sprays it across the face of goal and misses. Just sneaking it in for a score. So a behind for the Saints. They're 10-4, Geelong 11-6. Cats by 8 points, 11 played in the final term.
Cats work it through the left back pocket to Blitzarves, who marks outside of defensive 50. Blitzarves back inside defensive 50, the top of the square. Taken by Henderson, switches on here too. He has Henry at right half back, who takes the mark. He chips inboard to Simpson, who had to get his skates on to go back with the flight and take the mark. Pressure was coming. Nervous moment. Simpson runs through his defensive 50. Then a high kick. Joyce should get over the top here. He becomes a spoiler. Buse ran onto it, though. Hand pass back inside. He's okay. Close now. Tries to feed a hand pass to Parfitt. Couldn't do so. He's tackled over the boundary line, and it is out of bounds. In between wing and half forward. 12 minutes played, final term. Saints trailing by 8 points after leading by 19 at quarter time and 6 at half time.
It's Port Adelaide wide at Adelaide Oval against Carlton by 46 points after trailing by 16 in the second quarter. The boundary throw in, Menegola going to ground. His hand pass picked off by Sinclair. He loses it too in the Dalhouse tackle. Simpson at half forward for Geelong to Holmes and now to Selwood. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Howard's back and spoiling, but into the corridor, still alive. Howard has a second go at it. Swats it down to Joyce. Links up with Jones. Running off half back. There's a free kick, but advantage applied. Lays a hand pass out to Burns. Kicks for Butler. Got to him on the hop. Butler running back into the middle of the ground. His kick is a good one to Crouch's advantage. Dangerous hand pass over to Jack Higgins, dispossessed. He was held without it, said the umpire. The tackle lingered, and Jack Higgins is going to be given the free. 55 out, centre half forward. Not a heap of options. Kicks towards Sharman, who jumps in front of Membry and takes the mark. Top of the goal square for the Saints.
I have to say it's another poor decision. It was one of those ones again where he's tackled and the ball's come out in the tackle, and the tackle maybe just lingered for like a second afterwards. But they're under the pump there because Geelong had the outnumber at that contest. I think it was like a 2v4 and the free kick, and then somehow Sharman's found himself in the goal square all by himself.
Dara Joyce hurt at the other end of the ground with the trainers. Sharman up front needs to kick it and does. Had a bit of work to do late from close range, but the Saints are still coming. Having led for large periods, they draw within 2. Midway through the final term, St Kilda 11-4-70, Geelong 11-6-72. Sharman kicks his second of the game. We've got a 2-point ball game. Brett Delidio, Brendan Goddard.
Just wondering now if it's a time just to... If Max King's just lingering, he is struggling, so just whether keep him out of there or keep him out there, or get a fresh set of legs on.
Yeah.
And initiate that sub now. Get some fresh legs, whether that you can utilise him in a number of positions, whether he's half back to get some drive and fresh legs, or to put him up on a wing.
Claverino's played mostly back though, has he, or is he? Yeah,
well,
he's a big body, like he could go.
Yeah, I know, but you'd expect him to be a bit more flexible being a sub, right? Because I don't think you bring in a guy that just plays one position generally. Yep. A guy that plays pretty flexible.
Marshall down, but Radaglaire was the one who spun away from the contest. Free kick though, going the way of the Saints. So another chance to go forward here from the stoppage in the middle. Crouch goes right up the pipe. Great kick as well. Dunstan, he can swing onto his left and enter 50. Slow with his ball movement, waiting for an option to appear. He pulls his kick at the last moment. He was looking for Marshall, who wasn't quite on the same wavelength. Selwood mopped up. Short kick is okay, and he finds Higgins at left half back.
So even if the Saints win this, they still need a bunch of other results to go their way. They play Fremantle, who are around their station in their last game. And while for Geelong it's going to have ramifications at the top end of the table, the kick down the line here from Higgins is a free kick, and Hawkins can't believe it.
I can't believe it either.
Yeah, incidental contact in the marking contest. So Dougal Howard takes the free for St Kilda. Defensive side of the wing goes all the way back to Wilkie. Wilkie stabs his pass to Burns. Few St Kilda jumpers around him. Lays it by hand to Webster. Sweeping Polyfarmer hand pass up over halfway to McKenzie. Against the boundary line. Kicks for Jack Higgins. Takes the mark 70 out. Looks inside 50. Kent marks. Got some contact late from Holmes. Tried to sell it. Umpire awake to it, and Kent's going to have to bang it through from long range.
He's definitely got the leg, but it's good ball movement by the Saints again, getting the ball in the open side, a lot like they did in the first quarter. Maintain possession, kick mark, and worked all the way to have this shot on goal.
Kent from outside 50 gives it a thump, but he's offline. Missing out to the right and behind. And there's just 1 point in it. 17 minutes into the final term. Dara Joyce subbed out. Suspected concussion, so he didn't go off through the interchange gates. He's out. And Oscar Claverino is on the ground. Geelong by a point. 17 played final term on Grandstand AFL.
I feel like this one might be going right down to the wire. Henderson, short kick is okay to the left back pocket. Zach Guthrie takes the mark, plays on quickly, looking for Blitzarves, who's matched up there against Hill, couldn't complete the mark. Blitzarves happy to see it out for a throw-in. 70 around from the St Kilda goal. Can they push late in this final term? 17 played. St Kilda 11-5, Geelong 11-6, the margin of point. Toss back into play. Marshall palms it down, looking for Dunstan, who left it for Hanbury. Squeezes a right foot kick, gained about 15 metres. Cats, they're happy to see it over the boundary, including Colin Jasny, who's shoved over. Stoppage at the top of 50.
Saints haven't won here in the 21st century. You have to go back to round 1099, their last win at the venue. While the Cats staring down the barrel of sort of back-to-back losses in consecutive weeks. They haven't done that in 15 years here at Kardinia Park. For the boundary throw-in, Cam Guthrie, hand pass away to Dalhouse, gives it back to Guthrie, hooks his kick down the wing, Sean Higgins marks, lays it off by hand to Close. Close down, draws the defender, gives it back to Higgins along the boundary line. Links up with Hawkins. Hawkins inboard to Selwood. Slips over at half forward. Gives it to Simpson. He goes back to Hawkins. Hawkins now 70 out. Has to kick off his left. Shakes it. And the Saints onto it. Howard away towards Webster. He's locked up. And a ball up 50 metres out from the Cats goal. Left half forward. Geelong by a point. 18 played final term.
So a bit of overuse there, Lids.
Just a little bit.
Geelong players, mainly senior players too, but you could hear from the boundary or players on the field just telling them to kick it when they felt like they were overusing it.
Dangerfield, hand pass is a poor one to Zach Guthrie. Missed him by a metre. Zach Guthrie lucky to get a hand to it as it dribbles over for a boundary throw-in.
You're missing nothing in Adelaide. 59 points, Port Adelaide over Carlton.
They led that by 23, the Blues.
I think it was 5-2, so they've kicked 13 in a row, Port Adelaide.
Webster from the stoppage, hand pass back into congestion. Chance now for O'Connor. Now to Guthrie. Guthrie, Cam that is, inside 50, looking for Hawkins. Oh, coming through Dangerfield, read it nicely off the pack, but misses to the left-hand side. One behind. 19 played final term. He doubles the margin, it's 2.
Saints kicked the first 5 of the game. They led it by as many as 31, time on in the first. They had 3 lead changes in the third quarter. And the Cats, after leading by 2 at three-quarter time, they've led all of this final term to now lead by 2 again. Long kick towards halfback. Memory went without it. There was a throw inadvertently from Sharman. Tried to scoop up the footy and flies out of his hands, and the umpires pinged him for it. So Menegola puts it inside 50, turns it over. Caulfield takes the intercept mark to centre half back for the Saints. Hanbury hands it away to Hill. Cuts through the middle of Kardinia Park. King and Blitzarves in the wrestle. Butler just tackles Blitzarves without the footy. Umpire not awake to it. Blitzarves off his knees. Paddles it to the advantage of Holmes. He coughs it up. Hill on the wing for the Saints. Hand pass away to Butler. Tackled front on by Holmes. Umpire says ball up between wing and half forward. The whistle's gone away. It's in the front half for the Saints. Geelong lead it by 2. Time on, final term, grandstand AFL.
Ball thrown up, Marshall in the ruck, grabs it, kicks it. He went behind him, not inside 50, pitches. Sean Higgins in there, he spilt it. Now a chance for Burns. Higgins emerges though, hand pass to Selwood, who hooks around the corner to the wing. Dalhouse is out the back here. Oh, and then just caught one a little high. Not a bad free kick to give away. He wants to go quickly though, Dalhouse. No, he slows it down. Margin 2 points in favour of the Cats. He was happy to watch everyone on the park pretty much go past him. He chips back into the middle to Stanley. Stanley inside the centre square will come out wide to Smith. Smith on centre wing. Short kick to Dalhouse. They've advanced this about 5 metres, the Cats. Dalhouse looking for an option. Not too many are presenting. He may go backwards again. He does to the wing where Menegola takes the mark.
Sam Menegola called his name a bit again this afternoon. Possession 34, goes short to Selwood, turns and kicks inside 50. Stanley in front, marks in front of Mackenzie. Dangerfield at the back was doing work late, trying to get himself to the contest, and in front of all of it, Reece Stanley clunks it.
I think we're about to see the activation of the sub. Narkle about to be injected into the game, and big Radigalia, that corky just hasn't had any blood come into it, Brendan. It was a nice contested mark, wasn't it, from Big Reece, albeit against a smaller opponent, but You still got to hold on to it.
They finally got in there, Geelong. They
No, it was slow, wasn't it?
He's not going to shoot. Took his 30 seconds and then straightens up to Isaac Smith, who is 70 metres out and pointing at the 6.
Dude, that's where the umpires go, mate, play on. We're not falling for that.
He turned, pointed straight at the goals. The umpire said, "You're kidding." He didn't get his 30 seconds, so the Cats work it from one flank to the other through Zach Guthrie to Henry to O'Connor. He kicks wide and Henderson takes the mark. He's 1 metre inside the 50, which is where the mark's set, and Jack Higgins stands on that.
It's where they were this side of the ground. I suppose they've taken an extra 25, 30 seconds off the clock, but...
Now Henderson says, "I'm shooting too," but...
No, he's not.
I'm not sure he has the licence to do that in this team.
Licence or the ability.
He's 5 in from the boundary line. He'll have to kick from 55 out. Geelong by 2 points. Time on final term. Lockie Henderson loads up and he's going to kick as far as he can right to the goal line. They all compete up in front. What a mark. And Dangerfield is going to come down with it in front of the behind post. Strong contested grab at the drop of the footy and it'll be put on a really tight angle.
I don't know about you, Lids, but as a player and when I played, I was always fit like... That Dougal Howard's not Dangerfield's direct opponent. Howard's on Hawkins and one of the other key forwards. So who is accountable for Dangerfield at that time?
He runs around Dangerfield and pops it through. What a gamer. In perhaps a game-winning moment, Dangerfield with the heavy contested mark and snaps it through for a goal. Geelong by 8 points. Time on final term. 12-7-79. St Kilda 11-5-71. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio, Grandstand AFL.
And it's so costly. So who is accountable for him? You know Dangerfield. Again, knowing your opposition and your player you're playing on. We can't see from the replay, sorry, but Dangerfield's going to fly for the ball. So who is his direct opponent?
Well, Seb Ross
is there. Yeah, so we can see it now. So it's Seb.
Just no body.
Seb, you got to know. You've done a really good job. You're in a really good position right there. And what happens
Come
from
back
here?
to him. Come back to
him now, get body contact, don't land him a jump. Now you get lost. It's just in the whole scheme of things.
Always got you cannot let good overhead marks run and jump at the footy, can you? Take their body and do everything you can to hold them down.
Poor bounce by the umpire. Just decides to call play on. That would have landed about 1.5 metres outside the circle. Selwood with the kick. He's at half back. Flares it out wide. It's a good kick to Dangerfield, who takes the mark on his chest. Dangerfield on centre wing. Short kick out wide to O'Connor. Must have marked that centimetres inside the boundary line. And the Cats go into conservative mode again. They lead this by 8 points. Short kick inside is okay to find Selwood. Selwood looking across the ground. He's going to go to the middle where Cam Guthrie takes the mark. Back edge of the centre circle. And then a short kick to Blitzarves, who takes it out wide as well. Blitzarves back inboard to Cam Guthrie, takes it true centre half back, and he flares it out wide. So the keeping's off continues. O'Connor takes the mark, right half back.
8 point lead for the Cats. And a bit of ball control now, 25 minutes into the last, as O'Connor along the boundary line kicks down to half forward. Dangerfield floats through, can't mark, spills to Ross of the Saints. Hand pass back to Caulfield. He goes back to Howard. Dangerous kick across the goal face. Wilkie and Cameron compete. Wilkie can't mark. Spills front and centre. Cameron goes in, collects, snaps. Got it. Game over. And Jeremy Cameron putting it through for his fourth. 26 minutes into the final term. And what a fright they got. But the Cats by a new game high 14 points. 13-7-85. St Kilda 11-5-71. Jeremy Cameron on his first game in 6 weeks with 4 up front.
Sorry, who was that with the switch kick? Can't see it on the replay again. Howard, was it?
Yes.
So a couple of mistakes just from the Saints players. One, Seb Ross hit. People probably ask why I get so angry over little things.
They add up to big things, don't they?
To bigger things, bigger pictures. Seb Ross, his just ability to get body on Dangerfield, stops a contested mark. St Kilda still in the game. They're still within, 2 points at that stage?
Yep.
You know, and then it... I know you don't want to take away the instincts from the players, but that kick from Dougal Howard was not the play in that particular time. No. Under pressure, long, loopy switch kick to a guy that had Jeremy Cameron literally in his back pocket.
Dangerfield just got a hand pass out, but the Saints apply enough pressure. Now Sinclair running through the wing, lowers his eyes straight through the hands of Butler. Now the hand pass from Kent back into congestion. Crouch over the top to Webster, who centres things up. Dangerous ball. Narkle coming in late. Might have had his arm held. Good hand pass by Ross. Linking up for the 1-2. And then he's dispossessed. Holding the ball. Centre half back. Turnover. Cats have possession.
So it was 31 points St Kilda's way. Time on in the opening quarter. 3 lead changes in the third term, and Geelong have kicked 3 goals to 1 in the last. They led by 2 points at three-quarter time. They led by 2 points as late as a couple of minutes ago, and goals to Dangerfield and Cameron have just about closed it out for the Cats. As Henderson off the back flank goes to O'Connor in a one-on-one. Dangerous kick. Wrestling forward in among all that Sinclair, and we're going to have a ball up between wing and half forward for the Saints. Both subs made late in the piece. Radigalia subbed out for Narkle and Joyce for Claverino. A corky for Radigalia and suspected concussion for Darragh Joyce, which is never good news. So a bit of late medical news for both teams.
Free kick from the stoppage goes the way of Stanley. Crouch stands the mark. Stanley happy to soak up the time here. 28 minutes played, final term. Geelong lead it by 14 points. High kick. Dangerfield the flyer, the only flyer, and coming late was Howard. He took a big mark.
Jeez, he's been good. 24 contested possessions today.
Jeez.
Just willed himself and his team.
Yep. It's been outstanding, especially in this last quarter. Dangerfield pokes the pass out wide to Selwood, who takes the mark. Bit of pressure from Dunstan. Selwood slow to get to his feet. He's okay in front of the interchange benches. Selwood has Smith making a lead. Instead, he's going to go all the way back to Stanley, where we started about a minute ago, and that is it. Geelong do enough to get the 4 points and keep their top 2 chances well and truly alive.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark, down at Gardenia Park.
Geelong 13-7-85 defeating St Kilda 11-5-71. The Saints led by 19 at quarter time, 6 at half time. The Cats got the lead by 2 at three-quarter time and end up winning by 14 points. Goal kickers for the Cats, 4 to Cameron, 3 to Hawkins, 1 each to Dangerfield, Menegola, Simpson, Smith, Close and Stanley. For the Saints, 3 to Membry, 2 to King, 2 to Sharman and Crouch, 1 each to Higgins and Jones.
The greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark, down at Gardenia Park.
Full time here at Gardenia Park. The Cats by 14 points. They move to 16-5. Their record on the season. They did trail by 31 points in play, so a big swing there. A 45-point turnaround to get home by 14. For the Saints, their season's done. Final 6 last year, eliminated in a semi-final. They won't feature in the finals from here at 9-12, a date with Fremantle to finish their season. While for Geelong next week, it's top-end talent from here on in. They play Melbourne. Expected to be next Saturday back here at Gardenia Park. Now, there's a bit happening elsewhere. Hawthorn defeated the Western Bulldogs by 27 points earlier today. And meanwhile, in Adelaide, Port have kicked 18 in a row. So after trailing by 16 points against Carlton, Port Adelaide are now 20-13, Carlton 5-13. 5 minutes to play there in the final term, and Port lead by 90 points. So I was going to say what it will mean is the Cats win here. They're provisionally top, but they will be guaranteed to be either first or second, regardless of what happens with Melbourne tomorrow at the end of round 22. That's not necessarily the case because Port's percentage keeps growing and growing. So of the 16 win teams, Geelong might actually fall behind Port Adelaide, even in victory. That's all still to play out. Saturday night footy to come, the Lions and the Pies. Meanwhile, in Melbourne, the game between North and Sydney. You'll get updates of that throughout But here, full-time, Cats by 14, Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio with their take.
Well, it was after the first quarter we thought Saints are just up and about.
Cats slow.
Started slow. Their intensity and effort just was lackluster. Max King, literally the absolute difference. There's no disputing that in the first quarter. Looked like this guy is literally going to kick 8 today.
Yep.
And the mismatch on Henry, he goes off midway through the second, lacking opportunity because of the dominance of Geelong. So as a forward, all forwards in that second quarter for St Kilda really starved of opportunity. Well, saying that, second quarter onwards, probably 5 minutes into the second quarter, they had St Kilda had 11 inside 50s in the first quarter.
Yep.
And had 21 for the rest of the game, so 7 on average for the last 3 quarters. So their forwards just didn't get the opportunity, and that's due to the fact that after quarter time, Geelong ran. We saw Selwood, Blitzarves have a stern word with the playing group, pull them in before the coaches came out and had a word to them. So.
And just did the same then as well.
That would have been across the board. We need to lift our effort across the board, I'm assuming, because they were poor everywhere, and they've been experienced enough and around long enough to actually read the play, know where things are going wrong for them. So, it was a dominating performance after quarter time from Geelong. Really experienced team, one of the oldest teams in the competition, but...
The oldest.
The oldest, it is. There you go. They identify what's going wrong as a playing group at quarter time. Great teams and experience that they don't need the coaches to come out and tell them, especially individuals as well. That not just Joel Selwood, but there would be a number of guys that knew what was going on, and they essentially looked like they addressed it and fixed it right then and then. And then for the next 3 quarters, it was arguably a completely different team.
Yeah, I think, but the game was up for grabs though, wasn't it? 3/4 time, we thought we were in for a real tight tussle, but. It was the Cats' ability to not allow the Saints to even touch the footy. It was at 115 to 64 disposals in the last quarter, led by Guthrie 12, Dangerfield 11, 8 of those contested. He had some sort of last quarter danger. And Big Reece Stanley stood up, had 9 in the last, Menegola, he was good all day. Look, it's, I think for the Saints, when they were looking for their leaders to stand up, I suppose, in that last quarter, Crouchers had 6, Hanbury 6. Jack Steele only had the 3, who's been arguably, like a couple of weeks ago, I was singing his praises, had 15 and kicked 2 goals in the last quarter. But, you can't do it every single week. You're looking for some support. He was good all day, Jack Steele, apart from his last quarter. But I think ultimately it's about Geelong and how well they were able to, get the job done. That the only concern I would have is that it's all their older players that are at the top of the stat sheet and how much they rely on them. But Parfitt, I was probably looking for a bit more from him.
He's quiet in comparison to
what he has been doing. Close was all right. I thought with his ability to tackle Chase down there in that forward half, I thought he did some good things. But ultimately it's Guthrie, Menegola, Dangerfield, Higgins, Selwood all at the top. So a good result for the Cats. Hopefully that they move up the ladder. But given the result that we're looking at on the screen at the moment, I think they might potentially stay where they are.
So it's 99. What is it? No, 90 points at the moment. Port Adelaide's lead over Carlton. So 90 seconds to play there before full time in the other twilight game. Here the Cats winners by 14 points over St Kilda. Let's get into the victorious Geelong rooms. So their 16th win of the year, 16-5, the Cats. A bit to work through in the last couple of minutes, the votes to come in the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Oh, yep.
Mention the Darragh Joyce incident. He was concussed. The reason he was concussed is a late chase-down tackle from Tom Hawkins. So Hawkins tackles him to the ground after he got rid of the footy. His head bounces off the turf.
It was...
Centre-half back?
Yep.
Does he have something to worry about there?
Well, now he does, because he's gone off concussed, and that's how the tribunal and the MRP has been, the MRO, I should say, has been operating. If anything happens, look out, you're in strife. So I would, say definitely be looked at, but I don't know. I feel like we're really over-officiating the game a little bit and trying to make it as we're trying to protect it as much as we can and protect the players, which is great. I understand that, but sometimes there is...
Trying to control the uncontrollables.
There are things that happen in the game that you just cannot control.
It didn't look too malicious here, so it was a bit of his momentum going and Tomahawk moving with his momentum and tackling with his momentum, and then, again,
What was that one that was out here on that far wing earlier in the year, which was the perfect tackle, and someone got cited for it? Mitch Duncan got tackled.
Yes. It's on this very ground.
Yeah, and that was that gets sent there where it's a perfect tackle, but because he's been pinged and he's
got paid a free kick for Holman.
Paid a free kick.
Holman.
Nothing. Yeah, it was too. It was Nick Holman, and it was like... But even the fact that Mason Redmond went to they had to go to the tribunal last week, it's like, seriously. Anyway, it is what it is.
Another goal for Port, so they're 96 up over Carlton. I think they've kicked 19 in a row. We're fast running out of time. Just on the tribunal thing too, it feels a bit like, once we were saying if you choose to bump and you get it wrong, you're culpable for the damage. It feels like now that's been extrapolated to tackles and fend-offs. And basically, if you do anything on the field, you're culpable for the damage you cause, which is a dangerous spot for the game to be in. The votes lids in the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Yeah, so one vote went to my big mate, Big Jerry Cameron. 4 goals on return, a couple of big contested marks. 2 to the bloke who always kicks it short, Sam Menegola. He had a big day today, 35, and set him up, didn't he, going inside?
I was going to say, he had, I think, a direct goal assist on, I'd say, 3-4 occasions. Do we have that stat here?
No, we don't. We only got score involvement, so 9 score involvements for the game, which I'm big on. And the best man on the field, and especially in that last quarter, P. Dangerfield, 31, 24 contested, 1 goal, 1, and 9 clearances. So there you go, 3-2-1, Danger, Menegola, Cameron.
Full-time in Adelaide, Port by 95 points. They kicked the last 19 goals of the game to beat Carlton from 16 down to win by 95. Here, it was St Kilda by 31, time on in the opening term, and yet Geelong wrestle it back to win by 14. It means the Cats are 1 on the table as it sits at the moment, with games still to play. Port Adelaide are second with a huge percentage boost. A fascinating end of the season for those top 4 teams, with the Dogs losing earlier today. Thanks to our crew here at Cardinia Park, to Jules, our tech, and to Adam Bank in the studio. Saturday night footy coming up. You'll get updates of the Roos and the Swans, but our focus is at the Gabba, the big one between Brisbane